Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello, and we have got a guest sandwiched between us today.
We have got a fantastic guest, Mark. As always, we have former NCAA Division II for Alaska on the show. He is also representing some of the UK Armed Forces, in particular the RAF. He's been everywhere. He's been in the States, he's been in the UK, he's been in Germany, he's been in Cyprus. So without any further ado, Mark. Yeah, now stand and cheer. At center, number 24, Stewart Kearney.
Welcome, Big Stu.
Thank you. Good intro.
That was a great intro.
Oh, well done,
Strong.
you.
Wow.
Big up yourself.
Did it. First time. Done. Stu, welcome.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure having you on the show. And
You are our first video three-way. It's a very exciting moment for us.
Don't know whether I've been grateful or
why did you
scared
say
on
it
that.
like that?
Why? It is. It's
Everything
the
you say sounds dodgy.
Why? We're on video. It's
All
the
right.
first time we've done it. Get your mind out of the gutter.
But yeah, look, Mark, we have got a great guest on the show, and listening to some of Stu's stories about how he ended up in Alaska and some of the stuff with the armed forces and stuff like that is absolutely great listening. Yeah, that's why he's on the show.
I mean, that's poignant, seeing as it's winter time here. We're talking about going to Alaska. Obviously, a very similar temperature, I'm sure.
definitely not.
No,
No.
the English winter time didn't prepare you for Alaska.
No, absolutely in no way. The English winter time's more like the Alaskan summertime. So, yeah, I think 0 degrees was warm out there. So,
We went to Canada when we were 20, and had to run. The hotel had a gas station, sort of almost joined to it.
yeah.
We just walked to it with t-shirts on, didn't we?
We were like, oh yeah, we'll go over to that. Because we wanted to get Mars bars, and they're like, what's wrong with you? It's like it's 10 at night. We're like, haven't eaten. We want to get some Mars. So we ran across the car park. Yeah, we're going to go to that. And in there, it's like, yeah, that was actually pretty damn cold. Like,
Yeah.
You look at it and think, it's just breezy. But then you get back and you're like, yeah,
Like, that was silly. You have little heaters for the car, so when you park your car, you plug your engine in so it doesn't
and the old
freeze
car
over.
bra on the front, don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
We you'd get like a 6-pack and just open up like the balcony, just leave it in
yeah.
the
Just
snow.
put it on
and-
the fridge.
Yeah, just stick all your beer out the back.
Yeah, that's great, wasn't it? And
Way to do it.
Yeah.
we actually went during
January the 1st,
2000,
on the
so
Millennium.
where everyone thought the world was going to end, Y2K, and
We booked a flight.
There you go.
during it, here we go. What's going to happen? Nothing. But we're in this hotel
2 chances.
on our own.
Yeah.
The whole hotel to
No,
ourselves.
those except that weird couple that you remember. And on the transfer on the way out there, it was like they're weird because like, their age gap was significant, and it was like, this is just weird.
I heard
we
they
were
said
just
you,
laughing.
you were the weird couple.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Well, yeah, we were.
But
We landed and asked for Mars bars and a bowl of tuna. So yeah,
Brilliant.
we
and they
had
brought out like fine dining food. We're like, oh, you haven't met us yet. Sorry.
but the like all the kitchen staff, they were like, what do you want? Just burger and chips.
Yeah.
Burger and chips, thanks. And then they were like, is there anything else? No. So they'd give you food and like, shoot off, done.
Oh,
yeah,
They loved us.
Yeah, easy.
And we'll go meet you in the bar in 20 minutes.
There you go.
Right, Mark, in all seriousness, Stu has got some great stories. And I'm going to start one of them off by asking a really simple question. So, Stu, how did you get into basketball?
So I actually didn't start playing basketball till I got to high school. So what's that, about 12 years old? I was living out in a place called Thetford, which is in Norfolk, so East Anglia way. My dad was RAF, so moved around a lot, but we ended up kind of settling in Thetford. And it was my high school PE teacher, Mick Piggott, who got me into basketball, really. I was one of those kids who kind of did every sport, did football, basketball, cricket, swimming. anything I could get out of doing school for, I was like, brilliant, let's play some sport. But I suppose it wasn't until I played all through high school, and then at about 16, 17, when I went off to do A-levels, a good friend of mine played basketball as well. He had an awesome basketball ring on his driveway. He had a swimming pool and a hot tub. Wasn't the reason we became good friends. But
That's a good friend to have, isn't it?
It did help.
Basketball, ring, jacuzzi. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, pretty much from there, started playing more, and then kind of gave up the other sports, focused on basketball. I kind of shot up. I think when I was 16, I was 6'6", so just grew, and then realised my love was actually basketball. It was a time of like And One, all that was coming out as well, so it was a good time to be alive and enjoy basketball. From there, just friendships grew, played for the local team, met more friends, and then just carried on playing. There was a good round East Anglia, like Norwich way, Great Yarmouth. There was a lot of good basketball players, and so we just used to travel around just playing. All the same players used to kind of go to like University of East Anglia for scrimmage games, all that kind of stuff. So that's how I kind of got into it, really.
Nice.
And this leads on to the moment where you had a great meeting, which led on to going to Alaska.
Yeah, so I played a bit when I was at university. I went to university in Chelmsford, but I was playing for Colchester at the time. While I was in Thetford as well, I had they've got Lakenheath Air Base. It's just down the road. So we met a guy who ended up being really good friends. He came to play basketball with us actually at the pub, and one of the girls who was there, he was talking to her, and she just said, "Oh, they're all playing basketball at the minute." So he turns up in like chinos and a jacket, comes and plays. He'd been drinking as well, but this guy could just jump out the gym. It was ridiculous. But anyway, we got really good friends with him. He didn't have a swimming pool and a hot tub, but he had a big house.
Big house. Okay.
Big house from the American Air Base. Lots of steaks, burgers. And do you remember when GoldenEye came out on like the Nintendo and stuff?
64.
We just used to play basketball, eat steaks, drink beer and Boone's Farm wine,
Proximity
out of the brown bag, and then play that. That was our life, really. But anyway, his family lived in Alaska. He knew I was looking to kind of go out to play college basketball, and then he just kind of said, "Well, why don't you just come out in the summer to Alaska with me? We'll spend the summer there, and then you can meet the coaches." So went out with him, went and met the coaches.
This is a real sliding door moment.
It was odd because I didn't know what to expect. I'm just like, I just want to go and play basketball. Kind of walked into the coach's office, ducked through the doorway, and they were like, "When can you come out and play for us?" I was like, "Oh, okay." It's not always that easy, and it's again, I had to kind of pay my own way to start with. I was a walk-on, so didn't get the scholarship or the money that everyone just wants that free ride, send me to college. But anyway, an opportunity I couldn't turn down. So grateful for my parents as well for kind of helping me do that. But again, so I went out there for 2 years I spent, and then didn't get a full scholarship. But mum couldn't afford to carry on paying continuously for the next couple of years. So I actually had to leave after 2 years, which was a great shame. But then that led to the next chapter of my life from there. But two of the best younger years of my life. Again, I was looking for somewhere to move as far away from England as I could. You can't really get much further than Alaska, but
look, it's bloody cold in the UK, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Yeah, I've got away from England," and then you're like, "Man, it just got colder."
So weirdly, in the summer, it was probably warmer because the sun never fully goes down. So the first time I flew out there, it was like midnight. I'd been awake for like 20 hours, I think, and I'm flying. I'm thinking, "Oh, the sun's still up," and then you start thinking stupid things. I'm like, "Is it because I'm so high in the air?" And I'm like, "That's ridiculous." But then clocked on, we're nearer the Arctic Circle, and it's like 11 o'clock, and it was still light.
Oh, so what time does it go dark then?
So you get, I can't remember what month, but in the winter, the sun used to come up at like 10 o'clock, go down at 3 o'clock. So I was already in the building or in in school by that time, so I'd never see the sun.
Oh, so it's always dark.
So it's just always dark. I'd get to school, it was dark. I'd leave school when it was dark. And you're like, look out the window now and again, and like, oh, there's the sun.
That's why they did the 30
like
days,
episode,
30 days
like
a
a
night
Twilight
film.
or something like that.
That film, wasn't it? Josh Hartnett, 30 Days a Night, is based on it's the most northern
Barrow.
point. It's Barrow,
So Barrow.
isn't it?
So if you think of Alaska, Barrow's right at the top. Anchorage is kind of right at the bottom.
Yep.
So I think it's on the same kind of line as Helsinki.
Yes.
Kind
around
of
that
that. So
because everyone from there was going down to there in the film. That was the whole point, because they're like, it's 30 Days a Night coming up, where it's just,
they all just leave.
yeah, it's just nothing up there.
Just a surreal place. One of the most beautiful places in the whole world, though. I mean, you're in the middle of the city, and then a 30-minute drive, you're in the middle of the wilderness where
We're not meant to live there, are we, really? We're just not.
We ruin it.
We're not built for living there.
You got like the Northern Lights up there and all that. Okay.
So when everyone was like, oh, look, the Northern Lights, I was thinking, yeah, I've seen that.
You're like, I see that all the time.
But yeah, it is a beautiful place. I'd happily, it's one of the places I've always said, if I could live there, definitely would live there. Yeah. It's weird. But even pay people
in the
to
quiet
live there.
bit.
Well, no, not in the quiet bit. I need people. But Anchorage is like a huge, it's a huge city, but in space, and everything's just massive.
Because that sounds amazing to me. Quiet. If you said, Paul, your nearest neighbour is a mile away, I'd be like, perfection.
Oh, well, you could do that easily. 30 minutes out the city, you're in the middle of...
If there's a sea in the way as well, that'd be even better.
We got, yeah. I mean, there's one drive. We used to drive out places. It's Cook Inlet, it was called. But you just drive places, and you'd see out to sea, and you just see whales jumping around.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you say about neighbours. Your nearest neighbour's probably a moose or a bear. So, yeah.
Two words to spoil that. Polar bears. I'm not kidding me? Like place like Churchill, they have the bears just wandering around. And some places leave the car unlocked.
Yeah.
If I'm right, so that if there is a bear in the street, people can just jump in the car.
Oh,
to
really?
escape from the bear, yeah.
Yeah,
That's further up north,
Yes.
so like Barrow and places like that. You get polar bears just wandering the streets.
So like some places will have like a truck and a thing, like they do it. And I thought it was a thing, but it's apparently a real thing. I know someone who
So
went
you
to
might
Churchill.
be playing a
and they're like,
basketball game, and a bear walks in. So I was like, bear!
So-
and everyone's like,
oh, please
we
tell
were-
me there's a story about
so,
a bear.
not quite a lot.
That's a great mascot. Oh, hang on, no, the mascot's
not a
eating.
mascot.
Someone's
It's the
eating
real
someone.
So we're driving down the highway, and you see like a little bear. So when the winter comes in, the bears come into the city more. I'd never seen one yet, and we were just driving somewhere, and then this little bear just goes running across the road. So like slam the brakes on. I said to my mate, I was like, oh, bear. I was like, just wait. So where there's a small bear, there's usually a bigger bear, and then the massive mama bear comes wandering across as well. These things are huge.
Yeah.
But we're out on it was pre-season training, and we used to go on runs kind of around. And then we see the guys at the front just kind of make this massive detour, and we're just like, well, what are they running around? Like, you just see a puddle, people make a little detour.
Yeah.
Get nearer, there's a fully grown moose kind of in the ditch, just like chewing stuff. And the guy was next to me was just like, yeah, you don't go near them because they stamp on you. So people have been killed by moose.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like looking at this thing with legs as tall as me, and then you got the body on top of it, and it's massive antlers. It's just a run like through the residential areas, and there's a moose there. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Just for our listeners, how tall are you?
So I'm 6'9".
6'9", and this moose is bigger.
This moose was bigger than me, and it was in a ditch. I'm just like, God. That's what we used to say. If you hit a moose, it was usually catastrophic because you hit the legs and then the body folds on the car. So don't hit a moose, basically.
Well, they had a problem, didn't they? With I can't remember where it was, but I know I was in Jasper, which is north of Edmonton, and they had a small runway, and they said they get problems with them.
Yeah.
Where they walk on, and they're like, obviously a light aircraft's coming down, and there's a moose in the middle of the airfield, and it's like,
What, does it get stage fright?
no, it'll charge.
Charge
at
a
the
plane?
Yeah, and it's like
These
the
things are big.
moose will win because of the size of the antlers and stuff, and they'll just charge the thing, and they'll hurt the people and everything inside and that, and probably walk away from it. Like the moose would.
Oh, wow.
The
They are
highway.
monsters.
A highway in Alaska is classed as a runway as well. So if you see a plane
Is it?
come in, yeah, they can land on the roads. It's a crazy place.
There's
It's
just
brilliant.
no rules at there at
No.
all.
So there's me going from little Thetford in Norfolk, and then suddenly I'm out in Alaska, surrounded by all this, and I'm just like, good God. Just wasn't prepared for it all.
Stu's coming into Alaska and this is your... Oh, the mic's gone again. This is your pilot speaking. There is a bear on the runway, so we're going to ride on the freeway. Here we go.
Get your luggage very quickly.
Yeah, clearly not massive passenger jets. Like the little small planes, they can land on the roads.
For the person who had the blue bag,
Sorry.
That's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
the moose is in it.
The moose has been eating some of your clothing.
It's stuck on its antlers.
But we do have a gift shop, so you can get a T-shirt. You'll be all right.
Moose antlers, yeah.
Man, that's cool. So
But yeah.
when just going back just a tiny bit before you sort of got there, you mentioned a growth spurt.
Yeah.
When you were playing basketball before that,
Yep.
were you learning a particular position? Because as soon as you go 6'9" and you're in the UK, you're a centre whether you like it or not.
So I think it hindered me a bit because being tall is like, right, you're in the middle, you're the centre.
Yeah.
I don't want you to shoot. I don't want you to dribble the basketball. But at the same time, I didn't need to jump either because I was taller than everyone.
Yeah.
So looking back, and I'm always like, oh, I wish I'd have done this or done that. But because I never used to have to jump, then I was never great, like athletic and could leap. I could jump quite high, but I always think if I was, I don't know the right way to describe that. If I was, or if I had someone else my height, I'd have had to jump more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was more because you're in the middle. You don't need to dribble the ball up. You don't need to do this. So they're all skills that I kind of should have learnt more, but this is where you try and get that well-rounded. Like you see the big guys in the NBA now, they can do everything. Back when I was growing up, it was no, we just need you to be in the middle and be big. So I never used to practice all of those other skills early on. So I had to really kind of develop them of later on, which I say was a bit more difficult, but it just meant I had to put the more hours in. So
I find it interesting because I had an early growth spurt.
Yeah.
And so I was always made a forward. He was a guard. And then as it went through, he then became the forward. And I'm like, well, I can't learn to be a guard. I don't do that. Where he could transition his role easily and he can do the two role.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just old school. I'll just box you out and that's it. That's all I can do. That's all I learn.
Yeah.
And then by the time I'm 14, everyone else has caught up and gone over and you go, well, there's my window for that gone. Yeah. And I'm short in comparison. But I find it really fascinating because on Hoop Genius, they were having a conversation on their podcast. Yeah. And BJ Armstrong was talking about the exact same thing, how people are going to him saying, how do they shoot? And his reply was, if I came to you as an agent and brought you Shaq, are you still going to be going, how do they shoot? Oh, can they shoot a three? How do they shoot? It's like, I don't know what's gone wrong with the game now. Yeah. Because it's like, if I bring you someone who's physically immense, you can use them. Look at Joel Embiid. He doesn't bang up threes, does he?
And I think in
but this is coming around again.
The modern era is very much like
jack up a three.
Everyone's a three-point shooter. And that Steph Curry's great, but his impact has been bigs now shoot threes.
Well, I won't say I'm calling it out, but I actually replied on put a thing saying it's a great point that they made. Obviously, BJ Armstrong, 3-time NBA champion, knows his stuff and knows what he's talking about those things, and an agent. And someone I put on there, completely agree. It's like it's Moneyball, because they're just saying if you've got Steph's got this percentage of shooting, if he hits 10 shots, 5 in the key, 5 outside. If he's 42% from the three and he's 48% from inside, I think it is, he'd get 10 points for shooting inside and 12 points for shooting out. So why would he not keep banging more shots out? Yeah. Because he's going to get it. It's literally. So I actually put that and said it's Moneyball, and then someone replied, "But those two things don't add up." You're like that. And so I replied with that. There's the maths. Like that is what they're doing. They're literally saying, jack up as many, and it was something like someone last season threw up as many threes as Larry Bird did in his career, or something crazy like that.
Larry Bird,
and you just look at it and go,
about him as a three-point shooter, but like, he didn't shoot as many threes as people think.
No,
but
he's deadly because he was the big guy who had that threat, which was rare, like you're saying. But I think it's such a fascinating topic where people isolate and they go, "Oh, you're a big," but it depends on when they're a big, because like Joel Embiid.
True, it's
became a big later on in his career. Yeah. And what's his game? He's not a shooter.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm going to elbow you in the face.
I was just always, I wasn't,
maybe not
as I say,
play,
I'm
but-
not massive. So I preferred to be like a forward and run the wings. I was a weird kid. I used to, my philosophy was, well, I can get somewhere quicker if I run there. So to school and stuff, I'd just run to school, I'd just run everywhere. But it actually helped in basketball.
Dream.
Run,
Because I could
Forrest,
just run and run. But you're right. It was what you call like, well, is it an old school big where I just used to go into the middle,
Post up.
back around, get the rebounds, pass it out.
So
to
you'd
the
be
guys who
looking
wanna
like
shoot
Timmy
threes.
Duncan. That kind of sort of play.
Yeah.
Where you
not
look
quite
at
the same
Tim and you
level,
go, oh, he's there, he's post up, he's got him, there's the two, and you go,
yeah.
Timmy's got 20 points. Like, what? He's like, yeah, he's just doing
quietly
the
go about his
big
business.
fundamental. He's just sat down there doing it, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like Stockton and Malone, wasn't it? Those two were great together, just typical bigs. But then, like you said, it went now to let's everyone shoot threes and play point guard. I'm like, no,
So-
for that.
So at this point, you said the word centre.
Mm-hmm.
Would you still use the word centre, or do you prefer using the numbers like 5?
I'm
I'm
really
curious.
bothered, really. I think it's always just been centre.
The only reason I say it
like
is
the 5,
because when people, I always think it's almost like a crossover. If someone is a modern, thinking in the modern terms, they're often thinking the 1 for 5.
Yeah.
When you just say they're a guard, they're a centre.
Yeah.
So I saw some things over the last few weeks where people have been arguing about various people. But what makes me laugh is you say, well, yeah, but if they're that, they're a centre. And you go, hang on, you're saying it's a modern thing and then saying it's a centre. It's like the centre doesn't exist anymore. A guard doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, no.
A power forward doesn't exist, but they should.
Yeah. I'm all with guards, forwards, centres.
So I still believe in that. I still think that's the way
Yeah,
forward.
I say guards forward, small guard, small forward. Sorry, small forward, centre. Yeah.
Because you'd have your shooting guard and then your point guard, but then you go, well, who's running the point? But it's people like Luka or you know, any of those sort of players. Dirk Nowitzki, actually, for example.
22 minutes into the podcast, and
I've
you've
got to make
mentioned
two
Dallas.
Mavs. But
I think that's the longest we've gone.
Dirk was a big guy who shot.
Second, in the
He was
22nd
kind of the
minute
first one
still.
to change it all, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But that's when the European, and you see that changeover, he was kind of leading that.
So you mentioned something to Paul earlier about when you went to Alaska, you're one of the only Europeans over there.
The first British basketball player at the University of Anchorage.
Yep. I think they've had more since then. I think they had a British coach. I don't remember because I lost kind of track of it for a while when I was joining the military.
The Seawolves.
Yep.
That's a great name. What is a sea wolf?
So it's if I remember rightly, it's a mythical beast that it's meant to be. If you see it, it brings you luck, I believe.
Oh, so it's like a normal wolf. So it's like sea.
Yeah.
S-E-E wolf.
Yeah.
Oh.
S-E-A.
Oh, look.
Like a
in the
sea.
sea.
Yeah,
Oh,
a
sorry.
wolf in the sea.
Oh, right.
Which clearly doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's why it's a mythical.
So it's like the marine version of Airwolf,
The
but not a
They
helicopter.
should have said.
No.
They should
Bob's
said the
thinking
polar bears.
RAF, tie it in. Seawolf, okay.
Famous link.
Why
So
do they
Seawolf,
go
yeah.
for that if they got polar bears walking around?
Because that's boring. Oh, so actually, so there's 2 universities in Alaska big. You've got
The
University
killer
of
polar
Anchorage,
bears.
and then Fairbanks. So they were the Nanuks, and their symbol was a little polar bear, a big
okay.
polar bear. But yeah, we were a sea wolf.
So
That was a state
the
rivalry.
bear. Oh,
The Sea Wolf Pack.
that was it.
Yeah.
So bears versus wolves.
Yep.
No eagles, nothing.
No, they got all the high school. Everyone. Yeah. Eagles.
So did it really come down to those two?
So they were the only, they're the big 2 universities who
great.
played in. So it was a Great Northwest Athletic Conference.
Okay.
Was the league that we played in, and we played other teams down in, like Seattle,
Portland.
Northern California, Washington. So those kind of states. So yeah, but there's the two teams in Alaska were those 2.
So what's that like? You're playing in English college,
Yeah.
where you've probably got
20
a
people and a dog.
couple of girlfriends watching, and maybe a mum every now and then, and now you're in Alaska playing in America.
So
Bears watching you.
with bears as well.
Bears
so,
outside.
So my first ever game for the university was against Oklahoma State.
Oh wow.
So they had a tournament called the Great Alaska Shootout, and you had Hawaii and Alaska were classed as like 2, not the main states.
Yep.
So you had each team, I believe, you had a certain amount of preseason games you could play, but if you played them in Alaska or Hawaii, they didn't count towards that number. So teams would go, great, we can get more games in, but they don't chip away at our allocation of preseason games. So, the first, it was on ESPN as well. So one of the things that they did was...
Mark, this is Stu's first game.
First ever game out.
First game.
There was 20 people and a dog, and like you said, probably a couple of girlfriends watching, and some guy who got lost.
Live on TV.
And the badminton guy's waiting to get on the court after us.
No.
But then, so I went out.
No.
It's in a big stadium. I think it was, I can't remember, it's about 5,000. It seemed about 20,000 to me. And yeah, we're playing Oklahoma State, who were ranked 12th in the nation that year. And there's little me from Thetford. I think I only played it was less than 2 minutes. I came on at the end to replace our kind of star player. But I could just remember seeing it on the TV, and it's like, just see me, I look white as a ghost, just there like, what am I doing? The things I remember from it were the ring, because you got all the crowd there, and the ring just, you could hardly even see it. So you're just like, But where they put the court, it was on the ice rink, so the Sullivan Arena, which they used at the time, and they just built the court on top of the ice rink, so it was freezing.
Do you really feel the cold?
Oh, I did that, yeah. So you can feel it. You know when you're trying to get warm, but then when you've sat through all the game and then you've got the TV timeouts, it's just a long game. And then it's like, right, go on the court. I was like, oh, okay.
That was old school, wasn't it? They used to do that on a few NBA courts, didn't they? Where they'd have the NBA court above the ice.
Yeah. But you feel the cold coming through it. It wasn't
But that
nice.
must be
Listen, no badminton lines.
No, that was nice.
I will take the cold from that.
That must be a pinch me moment. Where
It
you're
really
like,
was, yeah.
you've just left the UK and you're sat on the bench just like looking around going, what has just happened?
Yeah.
Like in a space of
here.
a couple of weeks, you're like,
Yep.
yeah, I'm on TV. There we go.
So that was it, and I knew
that's cool.
it was a big step up. So going from playing in the UK, where we were playing, I think, well, I say we felt like we were playing every day, but when you get out there, it was 2 hours practice every day. That doesn't include like your weight training, extra conditioning, all this stuff. So quite quickly, I realised I had a lot of work to do, and just my body just wasn't used to just playing basketball 2 hours every day at the level we were playing at. I think we got to a point where my legs just gave up. I had to take like a few days off. Just my legs just wouldn't work. But after that, it seemed I'd adapted, because as soon as I felt better, I just felt like I could run faster, I could jump higher. It was just odd, and then you just get conditioned for it. And it's when you see a lot of athletes, not just basketball, if you do it every single day, it's just a repetition of those skills and the drills, running up and down the court. That's what makes people better at it. But my only exposure before was that you're watching like college games on TV, and then actually going out there and living it, you realise they're just guys and girls like us who just go to school in the day and just do a bit of basketball through the week, and then they play a game. But being exposed to that makes you realise actually it's like they are actually just normal, like people going to school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really odd. But I mean, that step up, watching all these teams on TV, and then like I said, a month later I'm there, and we've got I think the first year I was there we had Duke, Purdue, Villanova, Seton Hall, all these teams. Wyoming, I remember Wyoming had I don't know his name, but a Nigerian guy who was just one of the biggest guys I've ever seen. His arms were like thicker than my torso. Oklahoma State had I think he was a 7'1" South African guy. I was just chatting to him more about cricket and rugby, but he said he came out to the States, had a choice between football or basketball, and he said, well, I thought I'd give basketball a go. And I was like, and now you're at Oklahoma State. He wasn't very good. He was just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an experience.
I guess this would be around the Shaq championship days, wouldn't it?
So my, how do I remember it? My second year there was LeBron James's like final year in high school. So when he had this high school game televised, and had like Allen Iverson and that going to watch it before he went out to, before he joined the NBA. So it was then. So I'm there, 2002 to 2004 when I was out there.
2003 was his first year.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember watching him. So I remember watching him play high school, and now he's still playing NBA, which is crazy when you think back.
Yeah, I mean, longevity is the word I use.
Yeah.
Is just
It's
out.
ridiculous.
It's just in another stratosphere compared to everyone else. But I mean, I read a lot about how much he looks after his body and stuff. He puts a lot of money into his body, and when you go around and you see the healthcare that is associated with the players. I mean, we got an episode coming up where I was going around and you're seeing all the healthcare. I mean, I don't want to put too many spoilers in there and stuff like that, but when you see like all the ice stuff they can do, iron lungs that they'll put themselves in,
It's like the
all that
oxygen
stuff.
chambers and stuff.
Yeah, so they'll be going, right, we're
chambers
going
and
to
stuff,
Denver.
yeah.
We need to acclimatize to all that. You know, like millimeters of or like grams of you need to put this into your body, and you see all the players' stuff, and you know, one might be this high, one might be a couple of grams more, but that player needs those couple more grams because of what's going on in his body at the time. And you look at the detail they go in.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you got you now got LeBron, so you kind of look at it and go, he's probably the driving force of a lot of that.
Yep.
Whereas I looked at him and went, Jägermeister, go. So yeah, kind of probably went the wrong route.
But there is that side of it. Let's face it, there is that side of it going to college in America. I mean, the only thing, you lived it, we see it in films and stuff like that, but where you have you play basketball, you go to college, then you have the big party after the game and stuff like that. Is it like that?
It really is, yeah. Like it was around the time of like American Pie and stuff as well. So what was that, 99? So after that, and you're thinking, that's not real life. Got out there and I'm like, it is real life. So it's like we're having keg parties. It's like you just go to the liquor store, get a keg. But I was only 20 when I got out there. So going from UK where you're out partying from like 18 years old, got out there and it's like, you're not allowed out to drink. And my friend who I moved out there with, we were obviously drinking buddies, going to the pub a lot. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Why can't I come out and play? So it was like a year of not really being able to drink and party, go to parties like you used to. I mean, used to find ways. But then my second year I turned 21 and then it all kind of changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had, I think we hosted quite a lot of parties as well.
So you made up for it then?
Yeah, definitely made up for it. But yeah, I can remember we used to run out of keg. People used to come round and it's like always just you never used to charge people to come to the parties, but you'd put a little cup put tips in. And then people would always, if you run out of beer, there'd be enough money to go and get another keg or more liquor, more whatever else you needed. But it was always good. And one of our friends who used to play as well, used to be a bouncer at one of the clubs. So he was always happy because he'd come round, we'd feed him with beer and he'd just stand outside and make sure no one underage was coming in. So we're all covered. Or if the police turned up, he was like, the police turned up, I turned them away because they knew him as well. So it was quite fortunate.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, we used to go and find the parties as well. So it was always good.
Well, you just touched on it a little bit, and I just want to ask that question. You actually went out there with someone who you were friends with here.
Yes.
So that must have helped with that transition. Like, I always think, like, if you're in a band, you got your guys around you, they all going through the same emotions, they feel what you're doing. But when you got someone like Elvis or Prince, he's the only person who knows what it feels like to be that person. So at least when, I don't know if I explained that right, but you got your mate with you who is going through all that as well.
So he definitely helped. And it was great. His family, so I'd met them in the summer. And then they were happy. They'd let me live there. Like, they'd only just met me through this summer. They were like, come back out, stay with us. And they were really, really welcoming. And then it kind of, I don't know, it went a bit odd. After Christmas, it kind of went downhill a little bit, as they said. He even said to me, you've overstayed your welcome. But there were times where, it sounds like a sob story now, I think I went 4 days once where I'd only eaten like a Nature Valley bar because I maxed my credit card out. Wasn't really telling my parents I didn't have any money. I can remember one day buying a Subway and that had to last me like 2 days, which sounds crazy and a bit like a sob story, but I got to a point where I was waking up, getting the earliest bus from their house, and then getting the latest bus back. So bear in mind, when Alaska, I was up at like 6 o'clock, stood out by the bus stop in like -10, just to get out of their feet, really. I think I went for a stage as well where I was ill for like, it felt like 2 months. I had strep throat, and every night I was just coughing and coughing and coughing. I didn't know how the medical system really worked out there. But I remember not seeing them for the whole time because I was just kind of ill in the bedroom. And it sounds bad, like no one really came to check on me. I thought just at the time I must have been annoying because I was just constantly coughing. So there were things like that were hard, where I'm thousands of miles away from home. He kind of had his life to live as well, and we did kind of grow, I say, a bit more separate, as I found my friends in the basketball team, but then went home for the summer. Then the second year moved in with, I said, one of my teammates and another friend of ours, and then I turned kind of 21. I think I turned 21 at the end of the first year. But then like life was just a bit easier. Like my mum and dad, my dad was paying my tuition fees, and then my mum was just helping fund, and I got a job just doing like intramural refereeing. So like football games, volleyball games, basketball games. I was just refereeing, but that was bringing in money.
Who paid off the credit card that you maxed
So I eventually had to pay it off. So it took till, well, I think just before I joined the Air Force, managed to pay it off.
Okay.
So I was paying off the debts for a while.
I think that's like what most young people do. You know, they go through, this is great, and then it's like, oh yeah, I have to pay this back.
Yeah, I've got to pay it all back. And then it was that realization of, oh, right. So even kind of said when I started playing after college, I was just paying off the debts that I kind of accrued, even from Chelmsford. I only did 1 year at Chelmsford. And the student loans for that, and even the debts from there, you're still paying that for ages. So that's why it was always nice, and that's why I couldn't really afford, because I was an international student. It cost more to have me out there. Doing the maths, it wasn't really fair on my dad to do it all. So I'm fortunate to leave without a degree. Which I would have liked to do, but because I only had 2 years, never really finished my degree when I was there, which was a shame. But played some good basketball and had some good fun. But would have liked a degree.
That's the only challenge. I'm not only going to say this and I'll move on. It's just like education is expensive, especially when you're going abroad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know Mark's considered as well doing a PhD as well. So I'm going to embarrass him now, but Mark's about to finish his 3rd master's degree here.
Master, that's impressive.
So
there's me with none, but.
But so Mark's considered doing a PhD.
I just like learning. That's it. That's all it is.
Well, you have got like degrees in engineering and now psychology coming up and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. But
I'm just less stupid than I look. That's all it is.
Yeah,
but we're marginal.
But we've considered PhDs, but when you look at the cost, and I genuinely think we could get a PhD. That isn't in question.
Yep.
When you look and go, it's £450 to £500 per month for 6 years, you go, oh right.
Yeah, just for.
Is it like
post-nominals after your name
and if it's for you, or for a career or a direction, amazing. Or if it's something that you can do alongside that, amazing.
Yeah.
So I've got one that would genuinely change basketball, would contribute towards basketball and the sport. However, am I going to pay 30 grand for that? Probably not. So yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? And that's why you get a lot of Americans. I had a good friend of mine who he was in the American Air Force, living out in Holland. But even he was saying it's you're trying to get your kids to a good standard so they can get a scholarship, because education is expensive. But there's so many colleges, there's so many people trying to get those scholarships to go and play sport. And then even some of my teammates, they finish the 4 years and have never played basketball since. No. So it's crazy, and a lot of them do it to pay their way through college. So, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I'm trying to do something at the moment, going through listed NBA players from like all time and going back through. You have to sort of look at some of the college teams, so it's taken a bit longer than I was hoping, but just seeing the amount of people you go, well, they won championships, and how many people actually go even from those championship teams, not just to the NBA, but to any level of professional, you go, oh, like half of them just, that's it. They just drop off, done.
Yeah. So that's what
we won a championship, amazing. Are you going to play professionally? No, I'm doing this because I want to be an engineer. Off I go.
Yeah.
You go,
You know what?
Great. I mean, that's cool. But you go, oh, you're actually like top 4 or 5 in the country. Like, you are really good. And they're like, yeah, but I want to go do this. Good for
Don't
you.
want to do it anymore, do they?
No.
You get to points. I think I went, I'm playing for like 9 months, and I got to the end of the season. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And then you go, I went
So
back
why
home.
is that? It's just like,
Just drains you. I think
Yeah.
it was just every day. Like it's, I don't know. It was an odd feeling because I'd never felt it. I'd love basketball, so I just want to play basketball every day. But then it was just, I think it was just a lot of everything combined. And it was like, I think it was a situation I was in as well, being miles from home. And it's just, I've got to go and do basketball again. I've got to go and do basketball again. And there was just no rest from it. But then went home for the summer for a couple of months. And I was like, I've got it all back again. So I was like, great, I can't wait to get out and play
it's
again.
almost like you need that little break.
It just need a little break from it.
Get any injuries.
You know what?
during
Sorry, Mark. Can I just focus? There's this real interesting moment there where Stu was saying that when he's in the UK, all I want to do is play basketball. All I want to do is play, and he gets it, and it's like, I just want to go back home.
It was odd, yeah. I don't think it wasn't just the basketball. I suppose hindsight's a wonderful thing, or if you could change stuff. And if I'd have been on a scholarship or had all the money, so money wasn't an issue, life might have been a bit different and I might have enjoyed it a bit more. But it was just being in this new place. I went really insular as well. I think quite shy when I was there because every time I talked, people were staring at me. Being tall as well, it was just like everyone's just looking at me and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to talk to people. But then I realised it's because I'm different. It's because I had a British accent. It's because I played basketball and they weren't there to like make fun of me or because in England I got it a lot being tall. But out there they're just curious and just like, oh, where are you from? And then you start talking and then you realise actually they're not there to put me down or to be horrible. They just want to know you more. So I started to be a bit more confident in what I was doing. And then it all kind of changed a bit. So yeah, it was a weird feeling to I'm not say fall out of love with basketball, but just need a break from it, like you said. And then once I had that break, I'd gone back. I think I'd gone back to Germany at the time. I was working out an army base in Germany, and then just got that love back again and couldn't wait to get back out there. And that's probably just from talking to some of the people out there, just going, oh, what have you been doing? Seeing how they were like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And realised actually it is amazing and I'm quite privileged to do it. So
Yeah, I think when you look back, you like, especially like even just our reactions, it's like that sounds amazing.
yeah.
You did show me once. You got the video or you got a picture of your first
Yeah, so I got
NCAA game?
Yeah, so it was just crazy. And I can remember the coach at the end was like, we'll run a play to try and get you on the scoreboard. And I was just like, okay, I'm just happy to be here. And I think the pictures for me going there, what you don't see the next one is one of the guys they had like 7 foot reach. I can't remember their names, but he stole the ball. So as I turned, he'd stripped the ball from me. So I never got my 2 points
Okay.
in my first game. But yeah, I do remember now, they ran a play specifically for me to try and score. And that was it. But yeah.
So Germany then. So we're on to Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach.
There you go, Mark.
That's a good place.
Mönchengladbach.
Good nights out in
here you go.
Mönchengladbach.
I don't know. Guessing that's it. Mönchengladbach.
I am so holding back.
Go on, do it.
No, I'm really holding back.
You're trying. Go on, do it. Just do it. Get it out your system now. Get it out your system.
Mönchengladbach.
You can just see it. You can
That
just
was
see it percolating under there.
Oh,
Building up,
dear.
wasn't it?
He wanted to do that.
Oh dear, there's a video where someone's like, I think it just says the UK and it says ambulance and the guy goes,
It's called a map pool.
ambulance, and it goes to the French, it's like ambulance. Is that what it would be? In Italian, ambulanciano or whatever that is. And it gets to the German one, it's like Bundesschlagen.
They're so aggressive with their language, aren't they? Even like the word I love you is ich liebe dich.
Yeah.
Jeez. So yeah.
It's
great
what?
language,
Say
that.
that again.
Ich liebe dich.
Ich liebe dich.
Yeah.
Ich liebe dich.
Oh, thanks, Gertrude. You say that such a
Gertrude,
nice
So
way.
Gertie.
My 9-year-old son decided one day he'd download Duolingo and just teach himself German. And he now knows more German than me. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
How he's done it. He's just gone, yep, I know all this, Daddy. He's like, what does this mean? I was like, no idea. I can order a beer and a kebab and maybe
all
a
you
taxi
need.
if I'm all right. Yeah.
When he's drunk, he can get to the Bahnhof, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So hang on. Right, we've done a massive jump there. So
Yeah.
you've left the seawalls.
Yep.
So it's all built up. It's too much.
No,
So
that was a...
Why Germany?
So
like,
Germany
did you go
was-
back to the UK and then Germany, or like you're going straight to Germany?
No, so my mum was living out in Germany. So where it was, it's a place called JHQ, Joint Headquarters. It was a big joint army base or allied military base. And then there's little army bases around there as well. So it used to be called RAF Bruggen, but then it turned into an army base called Javelin Barracks. So she was living there, then she met her now ex-husband. So when I went back, I was like, well, I'm going to go out and live in Germany. So she was a manager at the swimming pool, and then my summer job was lifeguarding. So I was like, right, well, in the summer I'll come back and just live there, do some lifeguarding. And I was just playing basketball as well. And then one of the army guys, just he was playing for a local, or because I'll come along to play with this local team. So I was like, okay. Went along to Mönchengladbach Flyers and ended up playing with them for a bit, which was good fun. They had an ex-NBA player, again, I can't remember his name, but he was taller than me.
This is a supersonic.
Yeah, he used to play for Seattle. He was in his 40s at the time.
Mark, as a Seattle Supersonic fan,
The only
Who is
guy
this
who's
player?
coming to mind is Detlef Schrempf.
if
That's
you
only
don't
guy
know
I'm
the
thinking of.
answer,
No,
you're
he
a
was,
disgrace.
he was an American
He's
guy.
American. You're a disgrace. You
can't
call
remember his
yourself a
name, but-
Seattle
an American
fan.
guy.
Yeah, he was an American guy. Living
Oh,
out
sorry.
there.
I was thinking
Oh,
he said
do
it
you
was
know-
Yeah,
German.
no, sorry. So we're in Germany, but he was American.
So
Oh.
who is it, Mark? You're a disgrace.
So Mönchengladbach weren't one of the
could be
top teams.
anyone.
Had the teams. Actually, one of my teammates from Alaska ended up moving or playing for a team in Dusseldorf,
Oh, really?
which was just down the road from me. And
Nice zoo in Dusseldorf.
he was kind of getting there and started playing just as I was moving off to Cyprus. But yeah, Mönchengladbach, we weren't one of the top teams. But it was some of the best basketball I was playing, I think. 'cause
I
it was
mean, the
just,
standard in Germany has always been decent.
yeah, it was good.
And with the actual national league set up in Germany,
Basketball Bundesliga.
I mean, it's a model that people are copying because it's so good.
Yep. So we had one of my good friend who had the good basketball ring, the swimming pool and the hot tub. He ended up going to play in Koblenz out in Germany. So I had two friends from Norfolk who ended up moving out there and playing for a team out in Koblenz, which is weird actually because Pete, one of my best friends, actually. So we went to school together and then played basketball together in Thetford. There was a time when he went to work on cruise ships and his cruise ship came into Alaska. This is a time before we had social media and everything. So it was like, check my emails. I was on Hotmail. I was like, right, let's see what he's doing. And he said, oh, our cruise ship's coming into Stewart this date. And I was like, Christ, I can make that. So I was like quickly emailing him back. It sounds like a blooming rom-com here. But then I was like, right, hopefully he'll know I'm coming. One of my other friends owned a limo randomly. So we kind of filled the limo full of beer and all the other stuff. And we did this 3-hour drive from Anchorage to Seward to meet this cruise ship. So they had other friends who were in Seward as well and coming off the cruise ship apparently. So I just remember pitching up, stood by the cruise ship waiting for everyone to come off. And then he walks off and he was just like you see in stupid romance where he's like, you're here. So we had a long night drinking, partying in Seward. Then, because I had to be back for training the next day, I had to drive. So had no sleep. Drove this limousine back through the mountains of Alaska back to Anchorage. Got back at stupid o'clock. Tried to get 10 minutes sleep before I had to go to practice. So basically didn't have any sleep before this practice. Needs to say the practice didn't go as well. I tried to sit on the sidelines and drink as much Kool-Aid as I can, or I could.
Coach would know that.
Yeah.
Coach going to pounce on that.
They probably know. But then, so then he moved out to Koblenz. And again, it's like we're traveling around the world and basketball, it seems to always be there. But I think for some of his practices, you'd finish practice. We went along once to one of his practices And afterwards, some guy just comes in with like a crate of beer and like schnitzels. And we're like,
What's a
he's like, they're free.
schnitzel?
So it's like pork, bread
Sausage.
pork with breadcrumbs. They kind of flatten the pork. Think of like pork steak, like thin pork steak, with breadcrumbs on it. So like a chicken Kiev without the garlic and the chicken.
Okay.
With pork. Really nice. So yeah, you'd get a beer and a bit of meat after a game. And they're like, it's good.
Guten
everything.
Tag, Fraulein.
It's muted himself
What is
there.
it? What is it about the German language that
It's
just-
brilliant. Germany is one of the best places. I mean, we lived on the German-Dutch border. So go one way, you're in Holland. Go the other way, you're on the Autobahn into Mönchengladbach and stuff. But some of the best nights I've had in my younger years are in Germany and Mönchengladbach. And I won't go into the stories here. But for those who've ever been to Mönchengladbach, they know the hill. And it's just bars, Chinese, and then the bottom of the hill. If you fancy that sort of thing, there's a little red light above a door. But
I tell you, Mark, I don't think I've ever told anyone this, and I'm about to share it. This is embarrassing.
Well, if it's segueing from a red light above a door,
No.
we all need to hear this.
This is funny and out of order. So I dated a German girl at one point, and she was okay, but it just wasn't I just thought, no, just weren't getting along. No, we were getting along. Anyway, it wasn't for me, and I didn't know how to let her down. So I told her, I went, I'm really sorry, I can't see you anymore. And she was like, why? And I was like, I need to leave the country. She's like, what for? I went, I can't tell you. And I basically made out I was some British spy, and I had to go.
oh, she would have seen right through that.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's awful.
And she was like, I just wish you luck with whatever your mission is. So I was like, all right, cheers. Just didn't go out for a few months.
Wow.
Oh, that was funny. Oh dear. Don't think I've ever shared that with anyone.
No.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
No. That's yeah.
That poor girl.
I was a spy. Anyway, so Germany, yeah.
Someone out there is going,
Yeah.
I knew it.
I knew it.
Listen to this. I
You
go,
weren't
"No."
that James Bond. It was like, can't tell you. You would have loved it. Anyway, you were like that in those days. Right.
Never,
Yeah, you were.
never knowingly.
You probably used a spy excuse loads of times.
I worked for 6 months in Munich, which was amazing.
Nice.
And we were over there for Oktoberfest during that part of it. And because the client I was working for was Siemens.
Yeah.
And the guy who I was project lead for said, oh, let's go to, we'll go for some meals out. And they had like this, they had like loads of like bars and things all in like one little row and like it's a procession. So you just make your way. And it's like a Brazilian bar, Portuguese. It was lovely. And then at the end of it was like a strip club. It was just random because it was just all at pink. And you just like in normal bars and restaurants and people just wandering around.
Yeah.
But it started snowing. So we came out of the restaurant and the snow was super deep. And it's like, what's going on? And then a load of them were like, we're off to the strip club. It's like, yeah, I'm not interested in that.
Ooh.
And then the guy went, oh, we'll get on the bus. I was like, okay, that doesn't really sound that glamorous. No, it was a party bus.
Ah.
And it was just like one of these, the long bendy buses.
Bendy buses.
Yeah. Just with a full-on disco on it.
Brilliant.
I don't know what was going on. And then we ended up in the middle of nowhere at this giant rave. Like a proper, like,
nice.
like strobes and everything. It's like, I mean, I'm here on business, but this is pretty. And then like the outdoor, you still got the outdoor. Everyone's lining up for a kebab, but it's not kebab. It'll be schnitzels or like
You
big
get shawarmas, don't you?
big curly sausages and everything,
bratwurst.
bratwurst and stuff, and everyone's sat there and you're like, there's no kebabs or cheesy chips on the floor or anything.
Chinese restaurants or that.
Exactly.
Great.
If it's all the same thing, everyone's just absolutely thought, this is the weirdest thing. And then our flight left at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And we all got off in Munich. One stop before the airport on the train is BMW, in the BMW factory. So everyone piled off the train. You could see them all looking and like, English knobs, because we're all just
Snowflake
drunk
morning.
and literally. And then it was like, no, this is a factory. No, the airport's there. Get back on the train before it, because that train was not stopping. It was going. So you had to get back on there again. Oh yeah. Yeah, I have some good memories of that.
Good.
That was
Germany's
good.
just good. There's
Yeah,
just
nice.
a good way of life out there.
But
I've just thought of saying else, Mark.
what?
I've just, and no one knows this other than you and I,
That you were in fact a spy.
that we we were in
Codename
we were in
Seawolf.
Berlin once. Remember, we were in Berlin once, and how old were we? 15?
15.
We were 15 in Berlin, and we had gone to some beach.
Mhm.
We'd gone to some beach, and we met these girls there.
In Berlin.
We were staying in Berlin,
So
but we
they-
drove
they
up, drove
Oh,
up to a
okay.
beach somewhere.
It was like an inland lake,
Okay.
but the inland lake
That
had
makes sense.
the
Oh,
Falls
was
Beach.
that a
Yeah,
lake?
yeah.
Yeah, it was a lake.
Oh, I
it was
thought
in,
we were-
Yeah,
no,
you're
no.
Quite,
It's
you're quite inland in Berlin if you know your
Right,
geography.
I thought we were at a
Not-
beach.
Worst spy, if you
You
don't
didn't
know.
really, did you?
Yeah, I did. Just got- it
Brilliant.
was sandy, Mark. It was sandy. And we were on that bus for a long time.
You honestly thought we were at the
If you,
sea?
if you look at a map of Berlin, you'll soon realise
I was
it couldn't have been the
15.
sea.
Just got out and just went, oh, we're at the beach. This is brilliant.
Brilliant.
It was sand. It was a full thing on the lake.
We went swimming and we came out.
Yeah, but they had the nudist side.
And we came out on
there.
the nudist beach.
We didn't know.
And they was like, like
He's rolling into that language, isn't he?
Yeah.
anyway.
Probably just insulted someone.
So
It's like my donkey said, "What?"
we met these girls, and I think you gave them
No, they stole my hat. One stole my hat.
when they stole some basketball hat,
yeah.
and he was like, yeah, we'll come and get it off you tomorrow. So there was us walking around the next day. Because
We
it was
walked
part of a
across Berlin.
school treat, and
Yeah.
they went, right, you can do whatever you want for 2 hours. So we literally, well, no, maybe even longer
It was
than that.
in the afternoon. It was like, well, you've got some free time now. So we were like, okay. So we thought we'll walk there to go get it.
It's crazy. We didn't even know where we were going. We just went,
And
it must
was
be that
literally
way.
straight across Berlin. And we
Yeah.
didn't even think about it at the time. Went all the way across there, got there. And then on the way back, when we were walking back, it's like,
It's getting dark.
oh, no, it was dark.
And
it
it's
was
like,
and you're walking along and Paul goes,
there's
there's loads of skinheads over there. I'm like,
there's the Nazis.
Yeah.
There's the prostitutes.
but
We're really seeing it,
to
Mark.
context it,
We're-
was it the love parade? Was it?
that was on, the
Was
love
like-
parade.
So that had
Yeah.
happened like almost a day after we'd got there.
Yeah.
And we're 15-year-olds and like going out, everyone's like, oh, you go down to the parade. And like the teachers obviously let us, for whatever
It was
reason. We're
like-
down
we-
there. It's like
Like,
someone's
what?
walking around flapping their boobs out over there. It's like, and
Everyone was, Mark.
and then
from what I remember.
it was just like, what is going on? This is
are
a
we?
city. Like, what sort of trip have we come on? And then like 2 days later, we went to one of the concentration camps. You go, oh yeah, this was the trip.
Completely
it was awful.
different.
Yeah, horrible. And then, but yeah, on that beach, we just walked off on our own. Think about it now, it's like that's the most naive thing
It's
I've probably ever done.
crazy.
Just
If
walking
I knew
randomly.
my kids were about to walk
Through Berlin.
hours and hours and hours through Berlin I'd be...
Oh yeah, so we didn't get back. I mean, this is like 9, 10 at night at least. That we're then walking
Oh, wow.
back like.
I remember one of our teachers was outside the building, panicking. He was just standing there, just waiting, and he had absolute panic on his face.
We just said, oh, we just walked there and we just got lost, and then they're like, oh, get it in and stuff, but they didn't get told. We
he
didn't
was,
get told
he
off
was
or
pretty
anything.
cool about it. They
Yeah, we just genuinely
got.
got lost, and we did. But yeah, just think about it now.
When you look back at some of the things you do as kids or young, you're like, how did we even survive? How are we here
Yeah.
today?
Even things like without the mobile phone. Yeah, I'll meet you down the beach, and we just met down the beach. We didn't.
You'd struggle with that though, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Are you at the beach? Where are you? Don't know. I can see another country.
but you didn't have mobiles to any of that.
No.
I'll just see you down. I'll see.
Oh,
Where you
so-
going? Downtown. Yeah, I'll see you downtown.
Such
Done.
a better time.
Yeah, much better. But I mean, that's important, really, because when you're framing that, when you said when you're in Alaska,
Yeah.
that was still the area you're going in. You know,
Yeah.
2003, 2002, 2001. People had mobiles, but I guess there's more people have mobiles in America than they did maybe.
Yeah,
in
not
the
many
UK.
people had them really. It was
Still,
No, Mark, we're not even in. We're talking 95 when we did that. There's no mobiles then.
oh yeah, no. When we did that, that's what. But what I'm saying is, in Alaska, when he was over there and
So what year would that
experiencing
be?
that,
2000, you said.
2002 to 2004.
so people had mobiles.
Started to get mobiles.
Yeah, so it was kind of around that time people were starting to do it.
Because they were there,
This
but it
is
was
how
just
your credit card bill got high in it. You got a mobile and then went over there,
No.
and the data was
No,
like,
I don't know. I didn't have a mobile. I was out there. I'm trying to think if I did.
because it's one of those guys. The reason I'm thinking it is because in the States it's quite expensive having a mobile out
Mhm.
there, as opposed to what it was actually over here. All things
Yeah.
randomly considered, but a lot. I know some people who still like mid 2000s didn't have a mobile out there because
No.
you had to buy cell coverage, and if you're going across states,
That
it was
was
quite
it. Yeah, it was
expensive,
crazy.
and it would get really basically unless you were phoning in your little local area, it was really expensive. So when you saw it on the films and people were doing that, I think that's really I want to say the context of it, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
like you said,
and that's
when you went out with your friends,
it's like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hello?
we're all in that same sort of era of being, I won't say sold the American dream,
Mm-hmm.
but it's being sold what America represented specifically for basketball
Yeah.
and everything that connects to that. That it was sold that,
Mm-hmm.
and you saw that from the 80s and the 90s and all that
Yeah.
era. So then you got a chance to go out there. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And also, they're like, I mean, there were some players who led the way there for that to happen, but still, there's not many British guys who go to the States. I mean, it's higher now, but you just look at the count of how many are over there.
Oh yeah,
Hundreds, maybe now.
Yeah, I don't even know now. I've
It's
not
not
been followed
loads.
as much.
So you would have been one of 20,
Yeah.
maybe.
That was it. I remember.
1:30.
The only reason I remember is because I'm looking at the program, and again, you just look through the names of who's playing and what are the other teams. I remember Andrew Sullivan was out there at the time. I think he went on to captain the GB team.
Yeah.
Had a great career.
Mhm.
And I just remember looking at it, going, "There's somebody else who's English." And I know friends who have gone out to different universities because there's so many out there. It's just crazy. Again, you probably lose track of how many people do go, but I think unless you do get that full scholarship, and I don't want to say colleges out there are reluctant to take international students, but it does cost them a lot more money. So my tuition fees were higher because I was international. So when they think, well, I could get somebody for cheaper or could give less money to someone who's already here. But again, I think I was just fortunate, and it's one of those where you just you shoot your shot. I went out there. I think I was lucky to get a walk-on spot, and then to end up staying for 2 years. And as I said, I just want to get out there and just learn more with the intentions of coming back to Europe and playing after that. As again, at the time, all I wanted to do was play basketball. I mean, I studied architecture at Chelmsford, but I was like, do I want to do this? I was like, no, I just want to play sport. And
That's a long degree as well. Architecture is
Yeah.
five years, I think.
yeah,
isn't it, usually?
yeah,
5
it
or
was
6.
long.
Some of that
I
is a
mean,
long one.
I did the first year of it, and I transferred when I went out to Alaska. Transferred, I did a business management major, just because that's what the university was. It was a business school. Plus, I figured the amount of time I was sat in my room drawing when I was at Chelmsford, I was like, well, I want to be doing basketball more, so I don't want to be drawing as much. So, did the business management major. As I said, I only managed 2 years of it, and then moved back. So,
Do you think your do you think your childhood of moving helped you in that mentality of going out there? Because when we've spoken to a couple of people who've said going out there before, that's a big culture shock of just being
Yeah.
that far away from family and being away from lots of things that you know in particular. I'm thinking of like Steve and Mark in particular, who were centered in one place.
yeah.
Mark Jackson, Steve Davison.
Exactly. And when they went, they were very much like, I've only known this my life. And
Yeah.
now I've gone somewhere. Whereas obviously you
Yeah.
said you had that experience from your father in the RAF.
Yeah,
and
so
mother and stuff.
we moved. I think we're talking with my daughter now. My daughter's done 5 primary schools. She's now in a 6th
Oh,
school,
wow.
so moving as well. And this is where we're trying to get stability as a family. But I think as a kid, I had 5 primary schools as well. And then we were moving up until middle school. I can't remember. We'd moved back from Germany. So I was born out in Germany, and then we'd moved around. And then moved from Germany to Thetford. And then luckily my dad managed to stay there through the rest of his career, so we could get all through middle school, then all through high school, did my 6th form. But yes, it's probably the easiest answer to that. Just moving around a lot. It's quite independent. Just having the family still going off and doing their own things. And I built that kind of resilience and mentality of, okay, I can do this. And I still remember going, when I went to Alaska, I can remember I was at home on my own, just kind of packed my bags, got the taxi. Taxi took me to the bus stop, bus to the airport. And then I flew out to Alaska to live my next couple of years. So looking back, it's
huge.
It is. It's huge when you think of it. And then I was 20 at the time. Was I 19, 20? And I still look at 19, 20-year-olds now just thinking, good God, I struggle watching you cross the street.
Yeah, it's young, isn't it? You don't think of it at the time.
No, I just had my bags and my mini disc player. And off I
Mini disc
went.
player.
Oh, yeah.
They were brilliant.
It was brilliant. That was a good
I've
time.
still got all my mini discs.
Oh, they'll be worth something now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got loads.
VHS and like mini disc, all that kind of stuff. People just want to reach back to that era. So
I love the fact you could drop them. And that sounds silly, but it was like the cassette.
Oh,
We
yeah.
went from,
yeah.
I guess the CD flip chart to
I had
the
like a
flip
little
chart
wallet.
for the for the mini disc. But what I have got, and I might at some point do this.
You still got the player?
I've got my car mini disc player still.
That's amazing.
So the big.
Yeah.
I've still got that.
How's it go?
I think my first ever car was a Volkswagen Scirocco, and we put the mini disc player in that.
What?
With 6x9s from Halfords.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
The
great.
old cheese wedge.
Actually,
Love
yeah,
it.
you know what?
Love it.
It's you put the mini disc in and the screen flicks
Yeah.
up and then it like plays a graphic as you're driving.
Little remote control as well, even though it's right there. You still need
Yeah.
a remote. Why not?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Oh, what, one on the stalk? Or was it one of the stalks that you stuck on the side of the thing?
No, actual little
an
remote
actual little
control.
remote. Oh.
Yeah, but you're there, so my hand, you can literally just do that, can't you? And then, but you still need a remote to look cool.
Well, you say that you can just. Well, you could just do that. I was just
Do my
thinking when
feet.
you
My
said you're
knees
a
are up here
lifeguard, you're the
anyway.
only lifeguard who just doesn't get in the water. You just go
Grab him.
just reach in. You know, he's in.
Much
He's in the
easier.
deep end. It's like that's all right. There we go. That's what you want. Just a tall, really long leg. Like get Wemby. Let's get Wemby as a
Wemby in just to
lifeguard.
save him.
You're
Yeah.
like this.
Pluck everyone out.
As a tall man, you're like this. So we had a guy on the show who. Damn it! Which one is it?
I have no idea what you're trying to share.
I think it was the mascot for the Plymouth Patriots.
Oh yes, it was.
He took a picture of someone with Wemby.
Yeah.
No, it was Craig.
Was it Craig Sorrell?
Yes, I think it was.
No, but I think the mascot took the picture. Is what I mean of him.
Oh yes,
Anyway,
yes.
so he took it. Obviously, Wemby's quite tall, but he took it of the guy and cut Wemby's head off.
Brilliant.
There you go. What a legend. What's the basketball in Germany like? What's that transition basketball from college in America?
Oh, especially
to
the game, because you just said
Germany.
you said about how with the fatiguing
Yeah.
with them.
So it was interesting because
like, does
gun.
it back?
Obviously-
Is it less over there as well?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think back. It was odd coming back from playing where again I wasn't the greatest on our team. But then when I came back to play in like England and Europe or in Germany, first we were playing just like pickup games with some army guys. Again, good friends of mine. Not really high standard, but still a good standard. And it's just kind of you're that step ahead of everything. It's just like you're quicker, you could jump higher, could run more. And then when I started playing in the leagues, I was almost dominating in some of the games I was playing just because I had that extra, I think, reaction time. Like I said, I was more tuned to doing it a lot more, and I'd been playing a lot more, whereas you could tell they might have been playing once or twice a week, whereas I'd been playing every day. So I could see that I was that little step ahead, and that's why the guy who, the ex-NBA guy who was playing on the team as well, I had some good battles with him because he could see that I was a new challenge coming in, and he I think he said to me at one point, he said, "I've not had that challenge, so this is great." And I had the management saying, "We want you to stay and play because you're our new star," kind of not him, as he was aging.
Mark, have you remembered who this guy is yet?
I don't remember his
You're a
name again.
disgrace,
It's
Mark.
someone who played in Seattle Sonics who then went on to Forces.
Yeah.
I'd have to go look that up.
You're
I
out of
think
order,
whatever.
Mark.
But I slowly felt myself coming down. So I kind of got playing college, and in Germany I was playing some great basketball, but then I could feel myself, I'm coming down the slope now, just because I wasn't playing as much. I was enjoying life, so it wasn't all just about basketball, which is easy to say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to keep doing and training. But then from Germany, I had the opportunity to move out to Cyprus. So
yeah. So why did that came there?
So that came about. My mum was going to move out to Cyprus, so she was getting a house built. So I thought, okay, well, I'll look for a team out there. And then the person, it was all, looking back now, it all sounds dodgy. But at the time, I was like, oh, okay, it sounds like they can get me on a team. And I didn't get an agent. Again, paying off debt, so I thought it's more money I can't really afford. But the opportunity came around. She said, oh yeah, Andreas, I think his name was, knows people, go out there and they'll hook you up with the team. So I was like, okay, flew out to Cyprus, called him when I'm there, and he's like, oh, okay, get a taxi to here. And I was like, okay. So he's got a bar hotel in Ayia Napa. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I've not been to Ayia Napa before. And then basically just said, okay, well, we'll go and meet the team. They train at like 7 o'clock at night. So I think I went to a couple of teams, but it was coming up to the season, so they'd already got their rosters full. And I was at the point, I stayed in a hotel, and I'd gone for, I think, the best team in Cyprus first. They said, oh, we'll try you out with this one. They just said, look, our roster's full. But I can remember doing the training session with them. I'd seen them on TV like 2 nights before and seen the players. I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize you. And all I remember from the session, I'd hit a couple of good shots. One of their big guys tried to dunk on me, but I blocked him, which I thought was good. But they just said, look, we want you to play, which I think they've been, well, they said, we want you to play, but our roster's full. So I went to another team. They kind of said the same thing. And then I went to a third team, which was Ike in Larnaca. And then, yeah, so I ended up playing with them for a bit. But then kind of near the end of the season, I was a bit like, do you know what? I'd had that kind of, one of the guys on the team, he was 36, I think, American guy. He went to Fresno State. I was seeing him doing his basketball coaching stuff. And I was like, oh, what you doing? And then he just told me the story. He said, oh, well, I'm 36. I've been playing basketball and I've kind of got nothing now to fall back on. So I'm going to do my coaching so I can go into coaching. But just his story was kind of like he just hadn't prepared for leaving basketball. And as we were talking about earlier, you see that a lot. It's people just, they do basketball and it's like, I'm going to go to something different. But some people just go, I've got basketball. It could be any sport like American football. And they go, but now I've got nothing. And I kind of had that. I was 24 at the time, and I went, do you know what? I need to, or 23 or 24. I said, I need to think about this seriously.
The sensible gears kicked in.
It did, yeah.
What am I doing in 10
I kind of
years'
thought,
time?
I need to get a real job here, or I'm going to get to a certain age. I could get an injury, and it's the stress. And I can remember waking up one day going, I don't want to go to practice today. And I thought, ooh, I've not ever said that to myself. But I was at a place called I Nicolaus, which is, I think it's RAF base, but it's like a signal unit. And a friend of mine who was a medic in the RAF, I was kind of staying there. And I just kind of went, do you know what? If I join the RAF, I can still play basketball, I can do all these things, but I'll have a job and a career and an income that I can fall back on. So I still get to do what I want whilst doing a job that is going to be good. So I joined as a physical training instructor, so basically like a gym instructor. So I just got to do circuits, run around and live in the gym all day. Mentality behind that was, well, if I'm in a gym, there's a basketball court in the gym, so if I'm not working, I can just go and shoot around and play games. So yeah, which led on to the next chapter of my life.
I mean, look, Mark, this is only at 25. 24, 25?
I was about 24, I think, when I came back from Cyprus. I can remember the day coming, I think I flew in, I can't remember where I flew into, but I was in like shorts, t-shirt, tan, got back, I'm like, there's frost everywhere. I look ridiculous. I am there literally like I've just come back from holiday. But I was swimming in the sea like the weekend before in Cyprus, because it was November. Came back and it was freezing. I was like, I'd gone from Alaska to Cyprus and my body was just like, what is going on? But yeah.
I like the idea. You go into an RAF thing and with shades,
Flip-flops.
flip-flops.
Sure, it's like Luton Airport or something. I
Hey
came back and I
fellas,
was like,
how you
oh.
doing? And you're like, you just got off a plane. You're in.
You sign me
You're
up.
in.
No, but
You
I
are
moved
kinda guy.
back. So I moved back from Cyprus. Lived with my brother in Peterborough for a while, and then played local. Or just played basketball in Peterborough, which was again good fun. While I was waiting to join the RAF, so I had to do all the interviews, and then had to do a vetting for PTIing, and then and it wasn't till 2007 that I actually joined the RAF.
Well, let's talk about that, because one of the things I absolutely love with the forces in the UK is, I can't comment on anything else. I'm assuming it's the same for all the other sports, but I love the fact that you've got the Air Force, they've got their own team. The Army have got a team. You've got the Royal Marines. You've got the...
So it's Marines and Navy. The Navy Marines have their
Yeah,
joint
Navy Marines,
team,
that's it, yeah. And then the Air Force, and then once a year, they all come together in this big tournament. It's like, right, let's see who's going to win it.
Yeah.
And some of those tournaments are great.
Yep.
Some of those tournaments are great. And the venue actually changes every year.
Yeah, so each year you get a different host.
Because we've had it in here in Portsmouth, haven't we?
Yeah. So you get it at Nelson, and then
Yeah.
it goes to RAF Cosford when the RAF do it, and then I think the Army host theirs at Aldershot. It just changes each year, like
But
a round
it's
robin.
a big deal.
It is, yeah.
It's
For
a
each
big
sport. So you've probably seen or heard the Army Navy rugby game.
Yes.
So that's their
Everyone has,
inter-services
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
That's huge, isn't it?
that's what I think it had the biggest attendance for an amateur sports fixture.
I've-
Because it was
I've
at
been to that.
Twickenham, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I've been to that once.
it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
It's basically just military people just getting on it and supporting the Army or the
Yeah,
Navy.
yeah.
But yeah, so with the basketball's not one of the, say, the main sports in the military. So you get like your football, rugby, netball, are your big sports that get kind of,
And sailing.
and sailing.
Like sailing water sportsy things.
Okay.
Only because I know a few people who were instructors randomly.
So you get loads of sports, and
Yeah.
if you're really good, you can get what they call elite athlete scheme. So you're in the military, but you might be really good at rugby, let's say. So then you go off and play for a rugby team, but the military are still kind of paying your wages, just allowing you to go off and do your sport. But yeah, back with the basketball, it's not one of the biggest sports. So trying to get people in and attracted to it is always a challenge, but you still get good. The women's, like I coached the women for a while, and trying to get more women into the sport was always a challenge. When I remember once at Cosford, we had the netball team were doing their tryouts at the same time, and they had about 50 girls turn up to try out for 7 of 11 spots.
Is it like 51 side and like
And
3?
we had 6 girls all in. They were all next door in like their matching gilets and all this stuff. And we're there with like girls who have not really picked up a basketball before, all in mismatch kit.
Yeah.
So I just went over and I said, right, I'll be honest, girls, you're not all going to get on that team. So if you want to come and play a real sport, we're next door.
If you want to play, if you don't want to play a sport that sucks, play a decent sport. Come
So
with
I'll
us.
tell you a story about netball. So my father-in-law playing netball, he ruptured his Achilles. They put the cast on too tight and he ended up having a stroke.
Oh God.
I've got another friend who was
bloody
running
hell.
after a ball. His hyperextended his knee to the point where he had to get his leg amputated because of the pain and everything from it.
Jeez.
So netball's a dangerous sport.
There you go.
And
Do
it-
not play netball.
and
Play
it sucks.
basketball instead.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's like
But yeah,
they're a
I
badminton.
said to the girls, come over, play with us, and we ended up getting a lot more girls into the sport. But it's one of those, sport in the
Thievery.
military is brilliant because there's many opportunities. But even with the RAF basketball, it's taken me around the world.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, like I said, I've been to Alaska, Holland, Germany, Belgium, Cyprus. And then with the RAF team, we went to New Zealand, to Florida, and then with the UK Armed Forces team out to Belgium. So many opportunities still just to travel and play, which is great.
It
So
speaks to
that's
being a
amazing.
team, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
a team sport, and it's the second most popular team sport in the UK, as it is any basketball. But
For under 18s, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
but in the forces where being part of a team is so important, and being
Yep.
part of you're part of a bigger thing.
Yep. And that's it. I think with I know we shouldn't really mention COVID, but that was a hard time for a lot of the youth coming through, and it's like you said, it's just being part of something, and that's where I found it with basketball as well. It's just like a lot of my friends. I mean, I met my wife through playing basketball.
Really? Was she one of the netball players you stole?
No, definitely not. No, she's
When I
much better at
first met you,
basketball
I
than me.
didn't like you.
I wrangled
on
you.
that side
She
of the
did say that.
curtain.
So, but she used to play at Worcester. So she had a scholarship and
The
played at
Wolfpack.
Worcester when she was younger. And then she joined the RAF. And I can remember the first time I saw her, because she said, "Oh, do you remember when you first saw me?" I was like, "Yeah, it was at RAF Cranwell. You had a North Carolina long sleeve t-shirt on." So I looked at me like, "How do you remember that?" And I was like, "It's what I do." But she said, "Oh, I remember you because I thought you were a knob." Because like, I thought you like strutted in. Like, she didn't know me at this time. She clearly did know me very well. But yeah, then it took her 4 years to realise I wasn't such a knob.
And the dream of her life.
Yeah, and then she's still with me, so
Well, that's good.
I've done something right, hopefully. But yeah, so
I like the idea you said, if she says to you again, can you remember the first, you go, yeah. Like you went up to the free throw line, you hit a brick, and then you went to the baseline and you threw up an air ball, and then you went back up and you shot another air ball from the 3-point line.
And then you went to dribble it and it bounced off your foot and it went out of bounds.
And I thought, she's the one.
she's the one. She's just as good as me. But no, I've always said she's much better at basketball than me. She was always a 3-point shooter as well. She actually won the inter-services with her team.
Oh,
whereas
nice.
I've never won the inter-services with the RAF team. I think
Like-
injuries and stuff as well. But
Do you watch the games? Do you go support the games?
when I can, yeah. So it was hard. So again, you said about injuries earlier. I had hip surgery back in 2011. And then it was just other injuries just kind of built up. And as I said, I'd played a lot, and I think it just took its toll, like playing in Alaska, playing in Cyprus, playing in Germany. Just when you always look back and you're saying to kids, make sure you stretch, make sure you warm up, make sure you do all of this, even the strength training. I'd love to have programs, like you said with LeBron. They've just got the top level support team around them doing everything right, whereas I'm going to the gym with my mate going, let's just put whatever we can on here. And try and lift weights. So never really taught that at a young age. So I always try and teach the importance of movement, just the strength in the right places. And my career in the RAF, I was an exercise rehabilitation instructor. So that's why I did join up to do all of that.
Really?
So then just educating people better on how they should be moving. But when people are injured as well, it's bringing them back to full fitness. So really interesting stuff. Which I think through my career, through my injuries as well, that's why I kind of went down that route. But looking back, I always think, I wish I'd have done more of the less of the just play basketball and more of the other stuff around it. But when you get to be a teenage kid, you're like, right, let's get into the gym, let's get big,
Oh,
because
yeah, 100%.
people want to see big muscles. But
Lots of players say the
Rippling
same
bicep.
thing. Or
Yeah.
we would go and play basketball, then you go to the gym.
Mhm.
Everyone says the same thing.
I wish I just played basketball more, because
yeah.
that's where you get it, just playing pickup games all day. But
So very weird that you've gone onto that subject, because one of the notes I was looking at, because I always put notes in for shows, what we're doing,
yeah,
just things that are of interest. And the thing that I had for this week, I was going to talk about some bits with the NBA. And at the moment, and it's like, these are my notes.
yeah.
And it literally here, it's all about the NBA injury list. That was what my topic was going to be this week, that I was just going to talk about. And the reason is because there are so many people on this injuries list. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I was trying to find it. But when you go through and you look at the names on these injuries lists, and it's like they'll put up a little post, and ESPN's got a really good one that you can look at, but they have to do it at certain times, who's doing there. You look down the list of people who is on this list currently, and you think, is anyone who's a superstar actually playing at the moment? Everyone's out injured. It's you just pick a team, and they're not playing.
Was that lad? Was it Chet Holmgren?
Yep.
He came in, didn't he? Then
And he landed
broke
straight
his
on it.
foot.
Yeah, and he's landed on his hip.
Has he done
And
another?
now
injury,
he's
has he?
bruised that. Yeah.
I went all the way to Florida, watched the Pelicans play. I'm like, here we go. And I was building my boys up and going, look, you're going to see a guy Zion Williamson. He is a monster. You wait and see. He's going to score 30 points tonight. Injured. Didn't play. He sat on the bench. He had a nice tracksuit on. That's about all we got.
Yeah.
Someone's labelled him as I think they call him a TAS player or something, as in there's always something, because they like he consistently is being injured. Every team. I mean, Mavs have got Luka out at the moment, as just an example.
1 hour, 25 minutes back on the Mavs.
But in all seriousness, the amount of players who are not in there, included in the likes of the bigs, like Joel Embiid, Kawhi hasn't even played a game this series yet. And there was a thing last season, I was just trying to think of who the coach was, but it was a really interesting point, and he made about European basketball versus American basketball. And the main thing was, in college, they are all about game after game after game after. It's non-stop games.
Yeah.
But they don't practice very much.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, it's all practice and only 1, if not 2 games a week maximum. Like, it's really so game time and actual game experience is low. But in
the
practice,
European people we've had on have said the same thing.
Yeah, and he's a very famous coach, and he's like, that's what you're seeing in the NBA now. People are picking that swing and going, why is all these NBA players, why is everyone getting so injured and so fatigued? And you go, hang on, this is a 25 or 26-year-old who, as far as fitness goes, is as peak, it's ridiculous levels of athleticism they've got.
Were there as many injuries in the 80s and 90s?
No.
Because we were hard.
But they literally, it's like, what are they out with? A hyperextension, for example. Paul George, out at the moment, hyperextended knee.
Yeah.
So when else? And you look at it and you think, really? Like, a lot of people would play through that, but a lot of them now are like, oh, we've got to rest it for this period, and then this period, and then after a while you think...
They're playing a lot more now as well, aren't they, I think? So from like the 80s, 90s, I don't know if that's correct, but it looks like they're playing more games now than they did.
There are a few more teams, but it's 82 games in the season, then you have the playoffs.
Yeah.
What they're thinking at the moment is it's to do with college.
Okay.
And what they're thinking to do is because certainly in the route to the NBA was always high school. If you're doing well in that, then you go college, then you go and the amount of loading the bodies are going through, as you said, you were 16, you were 6'6".
Yep.
They're immediately at that point going, right,
you were 6'6" at 16.
They're immediately going to go, right, he's going to be in this. We want him in this role.
Some people would dream of that.
And they will be putting him. So then, by the time you're 16, when people made the joke of, cover your ears, Luka, and they're like, look how much weight he's put on, blah, 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 and stuff. They say, oh, he's only been in the league 6 years. You go, he was playing when he was 16 or something for Real Madrid. Like, ridiculous. So you go, when you look at him now and he's 26, you go, he's professionally been hammering his body for a decade.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look after himself, clearly, but he has definitely been hammering his body. And from that age, as a PT, there's got to be questions on that. If you're like 16-year-olds and you are hammering their bodies. And
this is it. This is probably like I said before. I said, I found the gym rather than just playing basketball.
Yeah.
But when I look back, it was just, I mean, my dad he was a mechanic and he used to have like scrap cars in the driveway. And we used to jump off the cars and practice dunking and stuff like that. So the stuff we used to do, no wonder my hip's gone. But you're right. It's just all of that education around the game. It's like a car. You can fine tune it. They perform at the top level, but any small discrepancies in there and they break. And it's the same with athletes in some ways. It's like you've got to look after the nutrition, look after the conditioning, all of that stuff that comes with it. So it's not just game after game after game after game. Genetics as well are going to play a big role in that. Yeah. But it's looking back now, it's all how do you look after your body? And even with like children when they're coming up, it's not throwing them into stuff too early, but just teaching them the movement patterns. And I look at my flexibility now and I think at one point it was good, but we just kind of teach ourselves to not be as flexible anymore. Like sitting down, slouching forward, all that stuff just has an impact on it. And even with basketball, I think if you're sat on the bench, you see most people are kind of sat forward in a bad position. It's just little bits like this, and we all do it.
Mark, can you sit properly, please?
I'm bending my back the other way, so I'm doing it.
And it's that education piece that comes with it, which again goes back to when you go out to college, you're getting a bit more of that education. You get a bit more, much better. But I'm at the point where, so I've got a stand-up desk, and my wife's going to love me for the fact I've mentioned my stand-up desk, because it's my favourite thing.
I got one over there.
But I never sit down at work, because I figure
it.
if I sit down at night, or you sit down when you're eating, and to be honest, when I first went from being a rehab instructor into when I commissioned to an officer, sat at a desk, within 2 weeks my back was gone.
Oh, really?
So I was like, I need to change what I'm doing. So I got a stand-up desk, and it completely changed everything. I was like, do you know what?
Really?
It's much better.
Do you get lower back problems?
So not as much anymore.
Because the only reason I say that, obviously, just coming back from America, you're standing in lots of queues in Universal and Disney, and that's the one thing I found. My lower back, it just kills standing in the queues.
Standing still on concrete is bad for that, in particular, like queuing, because you're standing static on a super hard surface.
So we used to always say as exercise rehab instructors, after doing our course and everything, it was always your patients would come in, and you can usually cure everything with, if you look at, or the reasons for it are either weak glutes, poor posture, or weak core. Those three things, you fix those, and most of your injuries go. So someone would come in and go, I've got a bad knee, let's check your glutes. Weak glutes, let's fix your glutes. Honestly, it's ridiculous. And even now, it's like, strengthen your glutes, strengthen your core, good posture.
Paul, Stu needs to check your ass.
Never.
No.
So
like that is my problem.
Even being tall, like stooping forwards, I used to always think, right, posture. And you see a lot of tall people do kind of stoop forward. So I used to always be conscious.
You're messing with my body putting the mic like this. So look, my posture's terrible.
Put the mic how you want. I said put it how you want.
I'm doing all right.
No, that's
Exactly.
What I find is when I'm
He likes sitting forward so he can read his notes.
when I'm doing lots of exercise, it's the glutes. Like I get my wife, she gets like a drill, and she'll be going in the glutes. I'll be screaming.
You're on the
absolutely screaming, like the
you mean the massage gun?
the massage,
not a drill.
Yeah, you know the
Butt drill.
no what? Yeah, like the massage gun. You know, where it's like a big ball.
Yeah.
I'm screaming when she does that.
It's glutes. It's all about that. See, so that's where a lot of the strength comes from. So you see, you have discrepancies or weaknesses in the body. I said with me, with a long torso as well, lower back, it's always, people just try and train what they can see in the mirror. And you think if you train everything at the back or kind of in there, that's what you need for.
Is it like the sartorius or something that goes from the back of the knee to the bottom of the back or something?
No, the sartorius I think runs down.
There's one, I know it wraps or runs round or something, doesn't it? But it's like you're saying, if people say, "Oh, I've got a bad back," it's usually because their legs or this bit's fatigued because it's
or tightness and
tight.
Or the IT band. That's a classic when someone. You ever had that done, Mark?
Yes.
When they rub the leg, yeah.
That's.
So I had my I had hip surgery back in August the second time, and I had tight adductors. So I went and see the physio and kind of he massaged my adductors, and my God, I'm still in pain from it now. So it's just those muscles that you never really get. I can get it with a foam roller now and again, but as we all know, you never put as much pain or pressure through on yourself, whereas he absolutely destroyed it. It's great.
So I've got that little ball thing here somewhere, that vibrating ball that you dig in.
Oh.
And that's bad because you can put it on the floor and then lay on it, and then you got nowhere to hide in that. I
use a little lacrosse ball. You probably see I take it to the basketball when I'm watching Teddy play. I've got my little orange lacrosse ball that I put under my feet.
I'll pay attention now.
Yeah.
You really?
Yeah, just sit there. But I'm just sat there doing nothing, so I was like, I might as well.
So you keep it moving.
Yeah, but you do, it's weird. Feet. So I had Achilles problem. I've had every kind of injury, but Achilles problems, and it was never going away. And I realised it's because my toes, I need to stretch my toes more and like the bottom of my feet rather than my Achilles, because the pain was in the calf. I was like, why isn't it going from doing all this foam rolling and stretching? So paid more attention to my toes, got the ball, massaged the bottom of my feet, and then it's kind of all gone.
So not plantar fasciitis.
So so it's a bit like that, but it's weird when you attack it from another angle, and the issues seem to go. But yeah, it's weird. I think I've learned more from my own body breaking than other people.
But look, I think it's fair to say basketball inherently comes with, you're going to get a certain injury.
Yeah.
You're going to roll your leg. It's going to happen at some point.
Your ankles.
You're going to do the old finger pop. Maybe not lose your teeth, but you like bending fingers, don't you? You're quite good at doing that.
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
got
I've
nice bent
dislocated
fingers.
loads of them. Yeah,
Everyone's had a
dislocated
ball on
loads.
the end of the finger.
When you see, sometimes you see someone who's a basketball player and they put their hand up or they grab something, and it's like one of them is just like
Just
bigger
moving
or
away.
bent off the
Yeah.
side, and you go,
Or some,
Yeah.
it doesn't bend, it doesn't straighten. When you
Yeah.
try to straighten it, it doesn't do it. You know what?
I can't do that on that one. I can put that one up, but this one I can't because I popped that knuckle when it ball went.
I've got one guy who played RAF basketball who he lost one finger. So I
Ew.
think he was wearing a ring when he dunked it once when he was younger.
What?
So he only had
crap.
4 fingers.
Oh, what? Like on the net?
Yeah.
Ripped it off? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's why you don't wear rings on the net.
Don't wear rings.
Jeez.
But he still did well.
Were you there when it happened?
No, he was much younger. I just remember seeing it and somebody told me, yeah, he lost it from doing that. So,
Bloody hell.
yeah.
He's not going to
I
play
hope
with a
it
ring
went.
anymore,
I hope
is
the
he?
dunk went in as well because
I don't
that'd be even
Someone
worse.
said it was when
wouldn't
he was 16, but it was a bit older when I was playing with
I
him.
mean, that's got your finger gets ripped out your hand. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so I lost
Yeah.
a lot of my top teeth playing, but interestingly, I've got this. I'll put a gum shield in and I'll wear a mask.
hmm
It was more of getting over the psychological
Yeah.
barriers of getting on a court again. But I played for the first time last week, and it was really nice. Played against Mark Jackson,
Yes, you did.
former BBL player for the Thames Valley Tigers, and Mark was marking me at one point in the
Oh, was
game
he?
in the first half. And
I'm sure he didn't do that on purpose.
no, a couple of those guys were just being very kind.
Yeah.
They were being very kind because not many people saw it, but the coach of the other team saw it. Mark saw it, and they went, "Oh, you're playing again." And they said, "Can you see your mask?" And I took the mask off, and they saw how much my hand was shaking, like how
Nervous you were.
warrior was.
Yeah.
Have you seen the mask, Stu?
I think I have. Is that like the mesh?
I can show it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw. Yeah, I think I've seen a picture of it. So
But then Mark came into the game, and he was like, "Don't worry, Paul. I'm not going to elbow you in the face." But
that's often when the injuries happen when you're trying not to.
yeah. But no, it was right. Those guys were being kind. But there's a part of me that didn't want them to be. It's like, no. I need to get over
Yeah.
this. So Alex Grant, who came on the show, played National League, was one of the University of top 12 players in university. Remember he won that?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
In England. I was marking at one point and I went into him really hard and he looked at me like, right, are we playing? Like, but it was like, yeah, I need you. I need to hit something
Need
to
it
hit
to-
this so I can have the confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, look, got over it and yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find the picture. I'll find it.
I think I've seen it. Yeah, it's like black mesh. Like
Yeah,
Bane.
I think I showed it to you.
Yeah, I think yeah.
But yeah, I think
That's often the hardest thing. It's like they say getting back on the horse, isn't it? But like you
Yeah.
said, you just got to get in there and
do it.
do it.
Yeah, so I'm trying, but it's funnily enough,
That
it's
one.
part
That's
of my
like sort of
show it to everyone.
the little version of Bane.
the team,
Hey.
the Timu Bane.
Do you
Oh,
want
no.
me to tell you something?
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell
Are you
you
going to
something?
give that away? Because that's a good thing to know. And if you let that know,
Yeah, why not? Our listeners will love it. Our listeners will love this. So one of our players in the second half. Should I say this or not? Right.
you can give a snowflake warning if you want.
If you're a referee, you might want to
Cover your ears.
cover your ears, not listen. Snowflake
Go
warning.
put a cup of tea on the side.
That team in particular that it did it to, it was an accident. Yeah. However, the referees who are reffing that game, I told them 4 or 5 years ago that team is dangerous and someone's going to get seriously hurt against them. And I've been saying that to them for about 4 years. So there's nothing malicious or deliberate about it. It was just a horrible accident. However, I had been saying to one particular referee who happened to be reffing that night that something serious was going to happen against that team. So
Because they're a Lithuanian-based team who play a very physical game.
they let
Yeah.
them play physical. When you try to play physical back, foul, you can't do that to them, but they can do whatever they want to you. Because Europeans play physical, and it's like, what? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's
It's
got to be a
like
two-way rule.
Someone
It
can
can't
push
just be
you
one way.
harder than you can push them, and that's okay.
I used to get it all the time because you're bigger than them.
Oh,
So
okay.
If I have somebody smaller than me,
Yes.
they're fouling me all over the place. They're like, well, you're bigger than them.
Oh, the hacker
Yeah.
shack. So you'd
And
get
I'm
the
like,
same
you've
thing.
got to be kidding me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Exactly that. So anyway, the massive perk of this mask. So, I mean, look, it took me a long time to get to the point where I'm getting on the court, and still my hand's shaking getting on the
Yeah.
court. So I'm still trying to process this all. And I'm emotionally charged on the court. And one of our players gets fouled quite hard. And I just turned around to the ref and went, come on, ref, that's how people lose their teeth. And I said it quite passionately.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just said, you need to sort it out, or something like that. And then I can see the ref looking. And that's when it clicks. The refs can't see that I'm saying stuff because of the mask.
That's what I'm saying. Don't give it away.
So I was like, who's saying this?
the ref was looking around, and I'm like looking at him. And then it clocks, and he's looking at me, and I look away like,
You've given it away now. They're
Well,
going to be
look.
like, if they hear like someone go,
"Are you?"
someone definitely called me that.
Yeah, I might start doing this for a
Ref,
laugh.
you suck. Be like,
Just
that was definitely you. Your lips didn't move.
what? Just like say something to the ref and look away.
They're like, prove it. Yeah.
And just go,
But did you see
"Ref,
my
you said
mouth
it."
move? Did you see my lips
Yeah.
move? So how can I talk if you can't see my lips?
I mean, it is a mesh, but yeah, yeah. I
couldn't see
I
through
talked
that.
to him the next day. I went, Mark, there is a perk to this mask.
Talking absolute trash.
So, but yeah, I can't talk too well because you got a gum shield anyway
Yeah.
behind it. So, but yeah, we've gone way off thing. One of the things I definitely say to the youth that I'm involved in coaching is looking at the armed forces in particular, because especially because I'll know these kids because they're involved in basketball, and especially when they're good, and knowing my involvement's more around the Navy and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
knowing what they do, and like some of these guys, I'm like, look, as soon as they see you're a good basketball player, you're going to be doing some kind of basketball as well as a career. Like you say you want to be an engineer. Okay, they're going to train you to be an engineer, and you're going to be playing basketball. Like,
It's an opportunity.
if you're not sure what to do, that's what you need to do.
Absolutely.
I say to my kids now, I mean, they're still quite young, and I'm just like, look, when you finish school, you're getting a job, you're learning. I'm taking you to a college to learn like carpentry or
Yeah.
plumbing or something like that, or I'm taking you to one of the 3 offices to sign up. That's your options. But yeah,
But there's so many options in the military. And again, I was being a military kid. So my granddad was Air Force, my dad was Air Force, and then I joined up as well. But as I said, it's for those reasons. It's like I've got an opportunity just to keep playing basketball or doing the things I wanted to do. Again, it's whatever sport you want. The military's a good option just to keep doing it. If you're really good, like you've said, I mean, I went in, I met a guy when I was out in Germany. That's a really good friend of ours who's unfortunately passed away recently. He was the RAF player, and then he became a coach. And when I moved back while I was in Peterborough joining up, or before I joined up, played with him on his local league team in, where were we? Wittering, near Peterborough. So knew him before I even joined. And then when I joined up, he knew I was already in the system. So he was like, right, well, as soon as you finish your training, you're on the team. So went in, and then again, I didn't know what to expect of the RAF team. I'd heard stories from him. The military used to be a lot bigger, so they used to have a lot more teams. So you had like there's a RAF Germany team, and there was an RAF UK team. So now it's just one RAF team. It's just kind of shrinking. The military is shrinking. But I was thinking, right, I've got to really work hard to get on the team here. But then I was still, at the same time, thinking I'm on my downward slope. I've been at the peak of my playing career. I'm kind of coming down. Did it all, got onto the the combined service team as well. So they then choose all the best players from the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and you go into one team to play in an international tournament out in Shape, which was brilliant as well.
That's awesome, isn't it?
And that's where you go, and that's just the military side. So at the same time, we're playing National League. You go off and play National League as well and do all the other stuff. It's just what you want to put into it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the opportunities the sport has given me in the Air Force. I said I went out to New Zealand for about 500 quid, I think. So I get to go out to New Zealand and just play basketball while getting paid for minimum. It's brilliant. Where else do we go? Florida. So I went to a place called Destin in Florida, or Hulbert Field Air Force Base. So we got there, do our kind of training camp for 2 weeks, play a few of the base teams, and just enjoy Florida. I think we went out there just before spring break as well. So good weather, good time out in Florida.
No polar bears.
No polar bears, thank goodness.
Don't need to worry about any of it.
Alligators.
No.
Got to worry about them. Can't go
And
swimming in the
dolphins.
water.
So we're in. No, where were we? We're in the sea, the actual sea, not the lake. And me and my friend Tex, we're like, we'd probably had a few beers. We're like, let's swim out to the end of the pier. We thought we saw a sandbank, so we were swimming out. The next thing we see is like dolphins or porpoise, like kind of in the waves. I was like, this is cool. And the next thing we see, there's a lifeguard next to us, shouting at us and like, you guys need to swim back in. And then all I can remember my friend Tex saying, it's like, it's a public sea, I can do what I want. Where this go, I don't know. But yeah, we were out there, and in the end, we just decided to swim back in. But we realised we were quite far out. I think it was to do with the, not polar bears, dolphins, wasn't it?
Yes.
Random
So were they
diversion.
dolphins or were they sharks?
They definitely weren't sharks. They were
Okay.
just riding the waves in. But yeah, I mean, we had a few drinks. They were definitely there because we both looked back and go, no. So we definitely saw dolphins and a lifeguard who'd come out to rescue us from the sea.
And you were like, I don't need rescuing.
No, we didn't. We just swam back in.
Who are you?
Yeah, he was angry.
On
He
your
was
jet
like,
ski?
it's a public sea. I can swim where I want. Why are you telling us
Nice.
not to
Yeah.
swim? But
Lovely.
realised we were quite far out.
No, I was in Florida, or no, this time, another time, and I was in the sea. And no, sorry, this was Miami. I was in Miami, and there was a lifeguard there, and you just started talking to him and saying about sharks and stuff. And he went, look, let me put it this way: I will go in the water and try and help someone if I can, but I would not choose to swim in that water. It was like, oh right, okay, and that said it all to me.
Yeah.
And he goes, you'll see
Scary
him.
not knowing
You'll
what's
see him.
happening
But yeah.
Don't know how we got to sharks and stuff, but hey,
Wow, I think you were still hung up about those polar bears.
polar bears. I do like polar bears.
You know what? This that's where I was going with this. The worst thing about swimming out, and this is what always happens to me when I think, I'm going to swim right out there. Like there's a buoy, I'm going to swim out there and touch it and come back.
You get halfway and need a wee.
Now you go halfway. You're in the sea.
Just saying. Feed
You
those
get
fish.
halfway, and then in my head, dun dun.
Yeah,
That's
Spielberg
the worst
And
thing
I'll
to
be
do
like-
for
he did a
every
number
picture.
on everyone.
I'll be like, oh crap, and then I'll be looking down where I can't see anything.
That's the worst thing when you can't see what's down there. But they do they're random. They show like an outdoor cinema Jaws, but you're in a lake and like a little rubber ring, which I think is brilliant. And you just watch Jaws while you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? There's this other film called, what's it called?
With who in it?
Gorgeous actress. She's married to Deadpool.
The Shallows.
The Shallows. Yeah. So if you haven't watched The Shallows,
I've not seen the show.
check out The Shallows. So there's a shark in it. Spoiler alert.
Standard.
But anyway.
Is this
Like-
where she's
like-
stuck
like
on the
Lively
rock and the
running
shark
around,
so she
yeah.
can't
Yes.
get back?
Anyway.
Okay.
Running around
So
in a
the
bikini, basically.
the film starts. Oh, she's gorgeous,
How are we up
isn't
to
she?
sharks? And
The film starts and I'm sat like this. By the end of the film, I'm sat like this.
Did wonder where that was
feet
going.
up everywhere.
In your own house.
Yes, I know. Like genuinely, I'm petrified of sharks. But
Those-
you don't get to face them every day, so it's not too much of a problem.
No.
But
What? You don't get to face them every day. What
yeah,
sh-
I'm not swimming in the sea every day, so I don't
and
need
yet
to
you
worry
felt
about
the
it too much.
need to remove your feet from the carpet in your house
Yes,
in case
Yeah,
a
yeah,
carpet
yeah.
shark.
Look, Mark, sharks scare me. All right, don't
Oh.
have a go at my fears.
So my friend was out in Oz many years back, and
Australia.
did one of those. Was just doing some surfing or whatever, and then they got a helicopter ride as part of a thing or whatever. And when they went over the place, they were like, "Oh, this is one of the surf beaches." Like, "Oh yeah, we were there the other day," and they were looking down and they were like, "Oh," and the guy's like, "Yeah, you can see all the sharks. They're always there." Like that, and it was like, "We were literally there yesterday." He went, "Well, yeah, they'd have been just swimming around you. Like, you have no clue." But he said, "Obviously, when you're in a helicopter and you're looking down,
You see them all.
you are just like shadow. And obviously nowadays they have it on drones, don't they? Where it's like someone's like on their paddleboard and they've no idea there's a shark behind them going la la la, or you big fat seal, I want to eat you. It's brilliant. I love it.
The Australians are pretty good at looking after people as well.
Yeah.
On those beaches, they're well versed in looking after people. And if there's a helicopter and it's hanging around, you get out the sea.
Well, apparently there's 3 genus of great white shark they've found recently.
There's 3 what?
Genus. So there's 3 different versions of a great white shark.
Is that
There's
like
what?
Jaws 1, Jaws 2, Jaws 3?
No, so you have the I think it's the Pacific, which is obviously like Cali, right over Hawaii, and obviously over towards like Japan, that's kind of area. Then you have the one which is I want to say it was Atlantic, so it's North Atlantic. So they're the ones that go across and go into the Mediterranean. And then and that's Florida to the Mediterranean. Then you have the third lot who go from, I want to say it's like India or somewhere, across to Australia. So that's like the third lot.
What are the ones that went to Amity's town?
Well, that would have been Atlantic, wouldn't it?
That's Jaws.
Because Amity was apparently off of Long Island, where the Hamptons, that sort of thing. That's apparently where Amity's supposed to be, around that, or Delaware, around that sort of thing. I think. No, what's the one next to it? Rhode Island, Rhode Island, New York, Long Island, wherever it was. But would have been the Atlantic. So that's an Atlantic great white.
Well, I was in Australia last year. That's when I got a chance to see we had the great experience with the Adelaide 36ers in the NBL, who are doing really well this season. Also, check out. There's a bit of a brawl. A brawl last week, Mark. There's some suspensions. You should look at that.
It, Mr. Harrell.
But whilst we were in the sea there in Adelaide, guy comes up to us on a boat and went, "There's a big shark just over there. You should get out of the water." And we're like, "Okay." And my boys were like, going as quick as they could.
Meanwhile, Paul's already on the beach. Like, come on, fellas, hurry up.
No, I was in the sea when he said it. It's like, you got to just swim quick. But I saw a clip like what you're talking about, where you have the overhead thing.
Yeah.
Now you got like a killer whale.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just following this guy, and he's on like a bodyboard, and there's a boat going around him, and he's trying to swim to like the handle on a rope.
Yep.
Anyway, he's looking at this killer whale's getting closer and closer. I think it's just playing with him. Anyway, he grabs hold of this the handle, and then speedboat goes, and he obviously gets dragged on, and then you think, oh, he's going to get away now. You see the speed that this killer whale goes. Like, this guy goes, and this killer whale's like within, like, that is right on him. It was like, and the clip stops there, and you think, did he survive?
Probably.
Right. So, what do you want to do, Mark? We're drawing to the end.
We are drawing to an end.
Do you want Stu to do the 5 and pine or the shot first?
I think we've got to do shot first, and then round it off with the 5 and pine.
So we haven't done this in a long time.
We haven't, but I do have a question. Yes, she did. I do have a question for Stu, though.
Yeah.
What did you take with you from each of your experiences as they sort of culminated?
Oh, good question.
That was a good question, Mark.
So, what did I take? So I'll start with Alaska. So I took from there, it's I think mentality. What I mean by that is that it's all well and good having the skills and everything to play basketball, but for me particularly, it's just that mentality of leaving what I know, moving so far away from that support network into a place that is just so completely different and new, to then try and to adapt to it and say survive, but to come out at the other end really in one piece. And then I look these days, and it's that resilience to it all as well. It's like it's lonely. I mean, I keep saying to my kids, it's like when I used to play, I used to just dribble a ball for hours. I used to throw it against a wall. My brother never really played basketball. He was always football. So I had a couple of friends and we'd just play as much as we can. And even out in Alaska, it was, I'm playing, but then when you're not playing, it's what are you doing? And it's just building that mentality to be like, right, I've got to find this on my own. No one's just going to give it to me. So I think that's one big thing I took from there. And also that realization is that you can kind of do it. So what did I take from Cyprus? Cyprus was an interesting one. I think from there I realized it can be quite lonely. So I was doing, as I said, I moved to Ayia Napa and quickly moved out of there because it was just not a great place to stay when you want to play basketball. I mean, I was coming back from training at 9 o'clock when people was then, oh, let's go out and drink. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then going out with new people every week or every 2 weeks and then getting in at 6 in the morning, just on that cycle, I'm like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But I realized I had my 2 hours of training with a team and then I lived away from them and there's nothing else in between. So fortunately I had a gym that I could go to and train. But when you look at athletes and you think they fall into habits like gambling and things like that, it's because it is difficult. It can be quite, like I said, lonely. You've got that, but then there's nothing else.
Because they're just bored.
Yeah.
That was it. And I thought I was lucky. I think I watched the whole like Blackadder from 1 all the way through to the end in like a week, just because I had nothing else to do. And I'm like, okay, I've got to find more to do. So I was spending 2 or 3 hours at the gym and then going home, having a little siesta, going to the beach for a bit and then going to train. And then it's back to the evening and just getting to that cycle. So it's finding routine in what we do. And I think that led on to my military career then, is having routine and having structure. I think that's what helped me move on. And that when we got into the RAF, it's having the discipline. I'd always been taught things like the discipline at college level is like never talk to the referees. And I hate it when people like talk back to the referees. I know we're joking, like you were saying, they couldn't see what you were saying. But that was just drilled into me from like a young age with it. And it was, I think that's why, again, with the military, I quite like the military because it is just that discipline. It's like stand here, do that, wear this, eat that then, go there then. And I can relate to that.
Yep.
So yeah, I think a lot of sport, and it defines the top level athletes, it's that mental picture. And you hear people say it all the time. And I always use tennis as the example for it because you see what makes these two people different is their mental attitude to it. And I think that's, for me, is the key to all of it, that kind of combines everything that I've done and learned through my years, is just having a right mental attitude to go out and do things, but at the same time is have the discipline in yourself just to not do the stupid things. But when you think, right, I've got another training session, or I've got to do this, and it's putting in the extra work. So we said about Europeans as well. I used to get up early and go and shoot around, and some of the team would be like, what are you doing? We're training later. I'm like, it's just what I'd learned. It's like you go out and you shoot for half an hour and then you go and do something else. So yeah, I think if that answers the question, it is just having that mental, the mental side to it is huge to me. And no one's ever just going to give you something. That's another big takeaway I learned, is I had to pretty much go out and get what I wanted, albeit I had good support network behind me. But I had to go after it, thinking no one's going to come and get me. I've got to go and get it as such. If that's a good answer. Quite long-winded.
Great, inspiring. Great answer.
There you go. And Mark, we are always groundbreaking on this show, and we're breaking new ground today because we got our first UK Armed Forces taking a shot.
This is very true. This is very true.
No pressure.
No pressure, but you're representing all the UK Armed Forces.
Oh, interesting.
This is like when they all come together, all the forces come together for that tournament. This is what you're like doing it now.
You might not have experienced such professional equipment as you're about to wield.
Hey, Mark, this is going to be the first time people can see the shot being taken.
Where am I going?
I didn't even think about
Where am I
that.
shooting from?
The shot is right there.
Can you see that? Oh, I haven't got anything. There you go. Yeah. So if you just take that, I do some commentary here.
So you will be able to see it.
There we go. You can see how tall Stu is when he walks past. So here we go. Stu Kearney. Where is- Oh my God! Oh! Oh! What?
I said I only needed one.
He was that confident. Stu, are you going to go for all three?
No, leave it there.
He's leaving it there.
Yeah.
One and done.
Game over.
Like,
Unbelievable.
Mark, I wasn't prepared for that. I pressed the wrong button. You got a snowflake warning rather than applause.
That is amazing.
No one has ever. Actually, someone did hit their first shot once, didn't they?
Not like that though.
Not with that confidence.
There was some practices. There wasn't even
There
was no practice shot.
No,
that was
Mark,
it. It was just done.
Mark,
That's the first time I've touched a basketball, well, if we call it a basketball, in about a year.
Whoa!
As well, so,
Don't have a go at the equipment.
we are professional here.
This is high standard stuff here.
Mark, based on that confidence.
Rumor has
and
it that feels better than the current NBA Cup ball. I'm just saying.
Based on what's just happened, I think we should rename that shot the Steve Kearney shot. Stu Kearney shot.
We can call it Steve Kearney shot. Should we do that? Steve Kearney shot.
Oh yeah, let's call it the Steve Kearney.
Well done.
Let's rename it. That shot's now renamed.
Steve at the beach.
Actually, do you know why I said Steve? Because I think it was the Steve Ware shot, wasn't it?
Possibly. We'll have to look through the notes. We literally don't know. It was that long. It was over a year ago.
Maybe we'll do it per season, so no one's had the shot named. So the first shot is the Stu.
No
Kearney
one's
shot.
ever no one's not taken
on camera.
On camera, and no one has taken a
Proof
shot
as well. There we go.
without even practicing. Just taking just that's it.
Wow. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're
And had
just a normal day.
groundbreaking?
I'm going to use Paul's words for this one. Testicular fortitude to say I only need one shot.
That does take lots of testicular fortitude.
That's impressive. I like that. That was impressive.
There we go.
The only way you can top this is
Your
by
two
doing
questions.
is by doing your two questions. Firstly,
Okay.
2 questions.
you get your one shot,
Yep.
the clutch shot. It's the game winner. Who's it going to?
I'm giving it to Steph Curry.
Oh well.
Oh,
Steph.
Just
what? A perimeter shot or an inside shot?
Just where I watched the Olympics.
Yeah.
He was just throwing it from wherever and it was going in. So I'll just give him the ball wherever he wants and just say throw it. It's going in.
He's had a real resurgence recently.
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
he? He's really
That
on form.
Everyone's always talked highly of Steph Curry. I mean, you've got him. You see Caitlin Clark throwing it in from anywhere as well. But I think just watching that last game of the Olympics when he just hit those last 2 shots, I was like, do you know what? I actually see it now. So yeah, I'm giving it to him.
Do you know what I like about Steph? Is not only does he seem quite humble and he's like a really nice guy, but he actually compliments other players on having a much nicer shot than he actually accepts that he's got a really awkward shot because his release is so
quick.
Yeah, it's like, phew, there it is, and that's it. Like I think he was even saying Clay, I think, has got one of the most natural shots because it comes it rises through the body and goes.
No. Ray Allen.
Oh yeah. I'm talking like current player, but he was saying that he's played.
Best looking shot, Ray Allen.
Oh yeah, Jesus Shuttleworth, can't complain.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
So 5 and Pine.
Right.
This has got to be your. Are we including the coach in this as well?
Well,
See if I
Stu
can
did
remember.
coach
This is what
the
I'm saying.
RAF ladies team, so yeah, we'll
I
give
think
him coach as
we'll
well.
give him coach as well. So
Okay.
this could be any
5 players,
It could be
one on the bench
Okay.
to save mankind. That's how you want to phrase it.
Yeah, to save Matt.
To save the world.
The Space Jam. 5 and Pine.
Nice. So I'm going Shaq. He's in there. I've got Shaq and Kobe.
That led well.
I'm going Dennis Rodman.
A man after my own heart. Love it.
Do you know what? I want Sean Kemp in there.
No, you're just playing to my fancy now. Love this.
No one's messing with these guys down low.
No one's getting near the
No,
key.
that's big.
No one's getting near the key.
So I'm
at
torn
all.
between. I've got. No, I'm going to go Jason Williams.
Wow.
running my point.
White chocolate.
Yeah.
Ooh,
How many is
okay.
that? Is that 5?
That's your 5.
That's your
Who's
5.
on the bench?
This is interesting indeed. I like it. It's spicy.
Who have I got? See, I've not got Jordan in there, which is often stuck on.
Oh, this is good. I like the thought in this.
I don't know, because I need another person to run. Do I need another person to run point?
You know what? I always think it's really funny when you ask this question. We do give people a brief heads up, maybe a few hours. Sometimes I remember and I'll tell them in the morning. But you see, they go, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," and then they start really
But then
thinking
I
about
really
it.
am. And I mean, like, 'cause
And
I've,
you go,
I've got my bigs.
So you got
but
your
then
bigs,
I'm still torn between.
and the person who you said was going to give you the best clutch shot
you
if
see
you had a choice,
people's
gonna
brain
be
melt,
Steph.
don't you?
Yeah.
and you've got Jason Williams in there,
yeah.
who's a great point, but he's not a shooter.
He's not, but
So
he's just going to throw it up to Sean Kemp, who's going to dunk everything.
And if
And
he
if he
misses,
misses,
it,
Rodman's
going to
gonna
get the
it.
rebound.
Yeah, but who have you got?
I've got Shaq
If
to
you
shoot
got-
free throws.
Who have you got on the
I'm right
outside?
there.
You got no outside threat.
Kobe.
I've got Kobe.
Oh, if you've got
I
Thinking about
So
that.
I think I'm going to put.
Thinking about that, yeah.
I'm going to put.
I've got a stat for you talking about Kobe.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
got
actually, if
nothing
you've got
to
Kobe,
verify this.
Okay.
Kobe, the last NBA MVP to play all 82 games in a season.
Was he?
Oh, nice.
It
Amazing.
just popped up on social media. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
But I can't verify that because I just read it and spun on.
Can I put myself on the bench just because that sounds like
Yeah.
a fun game?
Yeah,
Yes. Love that.
I'd love to play with those
Stu.
guys. That'd be fun.
Love that.
Stu on the bench. Who's coaching you?
Who's coaching you? Who's the person who's going to go, Kobe, you got to sit down. Stu wants to go.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
I'd
no.
be like, not a chance. Who do I want? Do you know what? I'm going to put my old high school coach, Mick Piggott, as my coach there, just because. Why not?
Big Mickey P. Brilliant.
Yeah.
This comes up quite a
Bless
lot.
him.
Would you say the most
Quite a lot,
influential
doesn't it?
coach you've had?
So he got me into the game. Yeah, I've got him as when I always look back. You look back at your teachers, don't you? And he was one of those teachers you're always going to remember. Guided me right. So yes, he definitely has to be my most influential coach through basketball. And I think he's still like a big figure around Thetford. And I think he went more towards cricket and stuff like that, which just shows the reach of the guy. But yeah,
That's
a lot of time for that guy.
We've had that a few times on the show where people go, like, we would say the same thing with Jerry Archer at
Yeah.
St. John's College. We would say the exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All it needs, isn't it? Just that one person just to light that fire
Little
underneath you.
spark and
Yeah.
every and generations. It
Yeah.
affects generations. Like that teacher, inspired our generation. Generation followed people like Lawrence, who then went on played National League basketball.
Yeah.
The generation before that was the Portsmouth Fire.
Yes,
Um,
of course.
So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's really cool.
I think everyone has that person in their life, don't they? You probably saw that. I remember watching something on Ian Wright, the footballer,
Yes,
and
yeah,
his
yeah.
old PE teacher who fought had
Oh,
died.
yeah, and he
said
goes, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so," and
Yeah.
he takes his hat off, doesn't he? That was class.
That was the
Great-
one
great
person who
stuff.
got
Class
him.
move.
But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Everyone's got that one person, haven't they, who they remember, which we all kind of need.
Yeah.
No, that's very, very cool.
Well,
I'm very surprised you didn't put in someone like Tim Duncan.
Well, you see, I've got Shaq.
Mm.
So I was torn as well
It
between.
was the Sean Kemp that threw me.
So I had Sean Kemp. What's his name?
Scotty?
No, played for the Clippers.
Oh, what?
Why have I forgotten his
Not
name?
as in like Elton Brand. Are you talking
No,
like?
recently with it was him and Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, so did I.
So I've got him.
was thinking
He's always
Detroit.
one of my favourite players. But I remember watching him at college when he won the NCAA finals and then went on to the NBA. But Sean Kemp, I've grown up watching him as well. Just one of the best dunkers. And that's when
Monster.
you could give people crap for
Yeah.
dunking on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I remember watching him play for Orlando and do a layup. I was like, what are you doing? But that was after his troubles. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I think Sean Kemp, and
That
even
was
with
big.
Dennis,
That was big, Sean.
yeah, even
was
with
big.
Dennis Rodman, just what he did with the team he had. There's people like Scottie Pippen as well. There's so many, you say pick 5.
No, that
It's like, God, it is a difficult
great
question.
5.
it's been written down now.
It's a great 5.
The only thing that you could change,
It's me.
if you want to have an armed forces thing in there, you could have Winston Churchill as the coach. Great motivation. We'll fight.
Everyone will just think Red
For the
Bowler's back smoking a
rebounds.
cigar on the side.
We will fight for the threes. We will never
Good old Winston.
surrender.
Ah,
Right. Well, Stu, look, we really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
look,
appreciate it.
I've not made it a secret, you know, the stuff that you've told me before about the NCAA, you know, I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely awesome. And, you know, with the stuff that you do in the RAF, I've got a lot of admiration for you and the stuff that you do in the sport. Yeah, look, thanks very much for coming on the show.
been a pleasure.
We really appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah, massively appreciate it. And you forgot to mention that your name was in a draft.
It was, yeah. So,
Oh, God, how did we miss that? Your name was in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Who's
so
in charge of this show, Mark?
Listen, we are lawless. All right, this is
So
So,
your
uh,
name
like
was in the NBA
40-year-old
draft.
So yeah, I got,
40-year-old lawless.
so I got
you
a
know, it's-
message. I can't remember when it was. I got a message from my good friend Pete, and he was like, he's like, "How did you not get picked up with these stats?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're on about." And he sent me a picture or a link to the 2006 NBA draft. And there's my name, my university, and I've just got zeros on everything. And I was like, oh, how did I not get picked up from that? But I think it must just be from when I was registered at university in America. When the 4 years were up, you just automatically go into the draft, I guess.
Yeah.
Because don't you normally
Completely
pay it?
oblivious.
I thought you
I
have to
don't
pay.
know. I don't know where it was, but it was
Someone-
there, and there's only one Stu Kearney who'd been to the University of Alaska, Anchorage.
And it could have been to do with Alaska. It could have been to do with the states. Like so many of them go forward that put the name in. You just don't
There
know.
is someone in America that's like, where the coach gone, put Stu in the draft. He'll be all right. He'll
be
do
fine.
well.
He'll
No,
go
Stu.
places.
And he looked, Stu Kearney, right. Yeah, no worries. And this other guy,
yeah,
Just
the-
with
with all the
zeros,
stats.
like no picture, just
he's
zero.
like, Coach, are you sure? Don't question me. Do it.
he's not
All right,
even here
coach.
now. No, it's fine. He's in Germany now. No, he's not. Leave him alone.
You
It's
know
fine.
what? If money wasn't an option, like if it didn't need, if we won the lottery,
Yeah.
I would put Mark and myself in the next NBA draft.
Brilliant.
I'd pay for it.
Before you're
Just
building
be
a
like,
stadium.
Just to go for the dinner. And
well, I don't. Well, you don't go for the actual dinner unless they know you're going to get
Oh,
drafted.
okay.
You go up in like the spectator bit, I think. But I like the idea of
Name in a hat.
just having a thing where it says
undrafted.
Mark Chester, 0 points,
It's literally
0
like
assists.
Yeah,
Zero.
undrafted.
getting your name in
Right.
the local election, isn't it? That's what it
Like
really
the worst,
is, isn't it?
the worst picture of you as well.
Height. No, but Mark,
Any of them.
we would have to turn up to the whole training camp and be like, right, height, 5'9".
Do you remember those?
Position center.
Do you
Hold on.
do you remember those adverts? Was it John Smith where it was like, and now John Smith running bomb, and it was like the diving competition, and then
Is that Peter Kay?
it was Peter Kay, and
Brilliant,
he'd run in, and
Yeah.
he'd just do like the big splash bomb or the football one where they're all doing the keep ups,
Yeah.
Oh, we need
and
to
then he
do
just
this.
does it. He goes, have it.
We
Oh,
need
yes.
to do this for
Great
the
adverts.
NBA draft. We need to turn up and be like, so everyone else is doing like a time.
I mean,
in
there's
like
a mock draft.
20
and there's-
seconds,
There's a mock draft.
and we're doing it in like 4 minutes. And we're like, yeah, coach, put me in.
Yeah.
That'd be
It's just
great.
brilliant. I'd say I've been in the NBA draft. Undrafted, but my name was there.
Yeah, it's all going to change when they've got all these NIL deals from all the college players now, and they're all getting their own deals away from the teams,
Yeah.
and the money's being taken out of the universities and all that stuff. And now they're looking at a lot of people in Europe and Australia, and they're looking at all these other places now. Suddenly, I can't remember which show it was that we did, but we were looking at, I think it was when we were talking with Steve, actually, and he was saying about how many people are actually in the UK as players, because at the moment in like the SLB, it's almost like 50% American players in the Super League, isn't it? Because of the way the rules are and so forth. You look at it and you think, so how many actually British players are getting a chance to play at the elite level in their own country to get the game practice to chance, then go and play GB? And shout out to GB basketball because they did really, really well against Greece in the last couple of games.
Yeah, they did really well.
They did.
And
They
then
won the first one, lost the second one, but I mean,
only by 10.
and I love the fact someone commented and said if they'd have hit their free throws, they might have won that. And I was like, yes, because they did miss quite a few. But you're going to go play in Greece. It's a different crowd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, you go.
Crowds out there are crazy.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, but I loved it. I loved the fact that everyone was like, we're gonna lose, or we're going up against Greece, who are at the top of the thing, and we won. And you go, home court advantage, call it what you want.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. That's good to see for GB basketball because it means more people that do it. The only bad thing was it's not on BBC.
Again,
you
Mark,
have to go look for it.
I'm going to say it's a disgrace that the GB team is not on Sky Sports,
Yep.
BBC, Channel 4, something like that. All international games,
because you want kids,
especially
to be able to
qualification for the
access it.
Olympics, need to be on
Yeah.
TV.
So, I will shout out Elliot on this one. He actually sent me a note.
Elliot Bridgman.
Yep, and he sent me a note saying that on
You
design.
say names like people should know who you're talking about.
Well, we've had Elliot on the show.
yeah, but you need to say the surname as well.
Oh God! All right, Mum. On DAZN, if you go and watch any of the Super League basketball, there is actually a link for 1891 courtside, and that is the FIBA thing that allows you to watch some of the free games.
Okay.
Because the only other option was that you had to use your app and cast from your phone to the telly. There was no native TV way of
Crazy.
watching it, and you think this seems a bit backward for just watching it. And if you can't get the DAZN app on your TV, if it's like one of those things or whatever, it's just like it should be a little bit simpler than this.
Mark, I will say it again, and I don't care who listens. It is a disgrace. All the TV companies are a disgrace for not putting the GB
It's the
games
national team.
on TV. It's a national team.
It should be on. Kids don't have things like Hang Time and One Tree Hill these days, do they? So
No.
they need proper
And I
basketball.
think it was.
But you know, you say you're growing up when you have certain coaches and certain people, and you
Yeah.
get put into a team. That's people who are going to motivate you, and then
Mhm.
you start hearing it. And obviously, through these now, it's such a connected world.
Yeah.
Why is it our national team where someone would go, do you know you could play nationally for you? Not only could play for your country and go and play in the forces, but you can actually play for GB
Yeah.
against other countries around the world. Like,
Yeah.
do you not know it's a thing?
And they've even they started streaming more games now. And I know one the inter-services, I think they start streaming those as well on like Forces TV. And
I think
even
they've
when
done it with
we're
the police, haven't they, as well? The Met Police, I think, do basketball as well.
I'm not sure.
One of them reached out, I think, recently.
Okay.
But I think some of the actual
Yeah.
services
Okay.
do the similar something similar.
But no, we did it out in Belgium as well when we do the international tournament, the UK Armed Forces tournament. I know they stream some of those games, which are always interesting. But as you say, the more you expose people to it, the more they're going to get into it. But to have the national team, like you've rightly said, not on TV in any guise is.
And I genuinely believe this goes all the way up in Parliament, all of that.
Yeah.
It's that whole mindset that, you know, it's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast, trying to change people's opinion. And look, I really truly believe country comes before anything. You got your international team, put it on.
There's a player right at the moment, I think he's for EuroLeague, and he plays for Georgia. It's his national team, and I can't think of the player's name off the top of my head. He said a lot of people want to play basketball and they want to go to the NBA. That's the number one focus if I want to be a professional basketball player. He said, I just wanted to play for my country. And I think it's a whole thing about the teams not letting him, releasing him from his team duty to go play for the country for Euro Cup or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, this one's first before you. That kind of scenario. We've seen it in some other players as well, but
There's
you see some
can't
of those.
be prouder. We're in GB, England, whatever.
You see it. You see
Yeah.
Wemby, Tony Marker. They all put on the French kits. Everyone will do it, so that's
Well,
great.
Not on the same level. I've got my like United Kingdom shirt in my office, so I've got it framed and put it up on my wall.
Nice.
So
That's what people need to do more.
because it is, you're representing your country, aren't you? And
Absolutely.
although it's at the military level, not the same standard as national team, etc. But
You've got the flag on it. You're
It's-
representing the country.
I
That's
have
it.
been trying to recruit Stu for the GB Masters
Yeah.
over 40s, over 45s.
No brainer. Like no brainer. Like literally.
He's recovering from injury,
I
Mark.
know.
He
But
would have
I've
to
only
go
just
from
started
0
running
to
again.
100.
Yeah.
So
don't
yeah.
you have to
my
run.
physio will be like, no.
Pretends that you like. Look at Boban. Just be like Boban. Just be like, I'm the tall guy. Just pass me the ball.
think
up
of
and
it for
I'll just-
next year.
For next year, yeah.
Oh man,
I think
for sure.
2026 is in Greece.
You could get a second
European
shirt
Championships
with a flag
in Greece, I think it is. Anyway,
Another frame.
Another
Right.
frame shirt.
you wanted me to press some buttons, Mark?
I'd love you to press some buttons. So ends another episode. Stu, thank you so much for coming. We massively appreciate it. If you haven't listened to all of our other interviews, go back and check them out. We've got absolutely bucket loads. Until next week, I've been Mark.
I have been Paul, and we've had Stewart Kearney on the show, former NCAA for Div 2 Alaska at the University of Anchorage, the first British basketball player at that university, as well as an integral member of the RAF and the UK Armed Forces basketball setup.
And he's never knowingly played badminton.
Yeah, never. No, you don't like badminton, do you?
Gets in the way of basketball, doesn't it? Always waiting to get on the court.
Great answer. Cheers, Stu.